Okay, so we are now going live on YouTube. 3, 2, 1, we are live, and welcome everyone to the Extraordinary Life course. We are at week 3, which is the breakthrough week, which I think we were feeling a lot of energy when we wrote this. It says, obliterate barriers and be free to create.
We were trying to use juicy language, weren't we?
We were, and that is the whole idea, is let's get past what is stopping us creating the life we actually want to live. Because something's stopping us creating it. Otherwise, we probably already would have created it so far. In the first 2 weeks, we started with the extraordinary belongs to those that create it. And just so you know where we are, because we know it's going very quickly, week 1 was reality. Like, change starts where we are. So we did a current reality. We looked at where we are. We examined our values. Week 2 built on that.
What is your version of extraordinary? What life do you want to build?
And we talked about a vision in each of the life areas, turning problems into questions and working on those different elements to get going, which brings us on to week 3, getting past what stopped us. Then leads to week 4, which is about true self-care. Clue, it's not bubble baths and chocolate. It's something else.
Or putting white stuff on your face.
Yeah, that was a faked photo. And then week 5, creating extraordinary from dreams to actions. It's about how to make things happen. That's the plan. Before we get on to that, we've been asking you where you're all from, which I love. Craig says it's 9 p.m. in Angola. I love that we have someone from Angola and Colombia and Mexico and so many countries.
Yeah, we've got people from around the world. And 2 weeks ago, we asked you, where are you in the world? If you haven't already told us, there's a Google form here for you to scan. Please don't put it in the chat. Scan that code if you haven't already done so. And if you want to see a cool, geeky, interactive map, then you can scan this code. And been looking at the results a bit more that they've been coming in, and we have people from 40 different countries around the world, and that's phenomenal. Like, just all these friends from different places, covering 6 continents. We're yet to have someone in Antarctica, but hopefully they'll be tuning in. I guess is it summer there, so they won't be too cold. So we might all look different. We got different cultures, different countries, different languages, different upbringing, different experiences. But we've been reading your answers to the pre-course survey. I don't know if you remember filling that in, where it asked about what your barriers might be to building the life that you want. And it's absolutely fascinating because
we've read thousands of answers. Over 1,000 people filled in the pre-course survey. So we've read about the barriers and the fears of over 1,000 people. And we've discovered,
despite all our apparent differences, we're all the same. We're all humans. We're all having the same struggles, the same things to overcome, the same things that we're working on, the same things that are stopping us. And yeah, it's like fascinating to notice that. And it made me think, oh, I'm not so special after all. Like, I'm just the same as everyone else. I thought my problems were unique, and I was a special snowflake, but I'm not. I'm human like everyone else.
And I guess the reason for highlighting this right at the start is to say, like, if you think like you're so far different and alone and trapped, we just wanted to say you're not alone. Like, there's 4,000 people who signed up for this class, 1,000 people filled out the pre-course survey, and we're all dealing with very similar problems, we want to help you with them together.
And we'll come on to exactly what those were and the similar themes that were coming up as we go through.
Before we do, how did you get on with the homework? How did it go? Did you do the homework? Did you get confused? Tony gave me a sort of left and right head moment that he did some of the... Oh, he's giving me a yes. That was a yes. Okay, now he's giving me a very big yes. Deandra said, loved the Facebook group. I loved how many questions and ideas, and I tried to weigh in with as much energy as I could. Facebook did ban me from giving more comments one night because I left too many ideas for people.
They thought you were a spam bot, didn't they?
They thought I was spamming people, so they banned me from commenting. That's the new standard. If you can leave enough ideas for other people that Facebook think you're spamming, that's the sign you're doing well.
Lilac, sorry, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, said, I found it really hard. And Claire got stuck.
Okay, this is good to notice, because if you got stuck, then we can do something about it. And I think that is the key piece Like if you're stuck, let's celebrate that, and then let's work out what we need to do. And hopefully this week will unlock it, and we can then help you make progress on those things. And if you are stuck, post it in the Facebook group. That's the first point of call, and we monitor that. We will get involved and add to that. And then the second point of call, if you're really stuck, like message us. We will do what we can to help you. That's the whole purpose of us being here together. And I think one of the most important things is someone in this group has already figured out how to fix the problem you're facing. They probably have a different problem themselves that you've figured out to fix. And it's really interesting when you look at it. Someone's fixed finances, but they've not fixed health. Someone's fixed health, like fixed, but they haven't fixed friends and relationships. So it's really interesting when you look at that. Sandy said the homework is really depressing. That's interesting, Sandy. We need to talk about that, especially as it is about what your dream life might be like. So we need to have a chat about that.
I suppose it depends which part of the homework, because we did have one where we were trying to come up with ideas as to how might we, yes. So I wonder which part of the homework that is. I think, we've got a really mixed bag. Someone said they had really helpful input from people in the group, and loved the stuff that was coming through from the Facebook group. So we've had a real mixed bag.
Yeah, and Barbara says, I'm stuck with fear and all my problems are heavy on my shoulders. Well, let's see if we can lift those off for a little bit today and see if we can make some progress on it. Right. So one of the thoughts, have you noticed any changes yet? Have you taken any action yet? So some of you said you're a little bit struck. Some of you have said you're making progress. Rob says the magic wand question is really a magic wand. Like, it's interesting, everyone's having different reactions to the homework and the courses. I'd love to know what happened. Deandra said, did my mini experiment this morning. We did have one of the comments in the Facebook group, which I don't know if you saw, from Sonia. What did Sonia say, Katie?
She left a really nice message explaining all the changes that she'd already made and all like the momentum that she'd felt. And this sentence really stood out to us. She said, focusing on making my actions congruent with my goals has had a huge impact in such a short time. So lining herself up with actually like, what is it that I want and what actions do I need to get to what I want? And she seems, amazing progress since then.
Exactly. And I love that. Now, some of you might be thinking, and you are, because Catherine says, no mini experiments yet, feel a little overwhelmed and not sure where to begin. Like, remember, expect problems. Things are not going to go perfectly well. It's never plain sailing. Like, something's going to crash down, something's going to go wrong, and that's okay. We need to then figure out together as a group, you need to figure out from the questions today what you need to do next. And then we need to start taking action, because there are always going to be problems.
A few people have said they felt overwhelmed by all the different ideas or weren't sure where to start. So what would you say to that if they didn't have?
So if you feel overwhelmed by the ideas, the best thing you can do is look down the list and go, which one could I have a go at right now? And then just test one. Because overwhelm is a feeling that stops us and then we don't take any action. The way to get out of it is to pick one thing and have a go. That's it. Then you don't feel overwhelmed because you've tried something and you get some feedback and you make progress. So if that's you, you got 50 ideas, and some of you, I put loads of ideas on your questions. Like, just pick one. I think this is the one I want to start. And it doesn't really matter. That's the easiest one. That's the most excited one. And just pick the one and get going on that. And that will unlock that feeling of overwhelm, because you'll actually make some progress.
I have a little tip to add before we move on to the next bit, which is who have you shared the challenge with? Because some of the people that have put stuff in the Facebook group have had some amazing responses. And maybe there's someone in your friends or family network, somebody on this course, somebody in the Facebook group, somebody that you trust, you know, and it's a cliche, but it's so true. You know, that saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. Maybe there's a way of you getting some help even tonight and asking for help. Stay behind tonight. We'll be running a Q&A session as we always do. And Katie, Alan and I will throw everything and the kitchen sink at trying to help you solve your problem and help you to move forward. We're here to help. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. And just remember, it's all part of the process. There are going to be times where you feel overwhelmed. There's going to be times where you feel fear. There's going to be times where you fall off the wagon and then you get back on the wagon, the metaphorical wagon, not a real one, Tony. I can see what you're thinking. And just remember, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like you're feeling a discomfort, like I'm feeling discomfort because I haven't made progress, I'm feeling discomfort because like I'm pushing against something, that means you probably stepped outside your comfort zone and you're starting to make progress because you're doing something different. And if you don't feel discomfort through this course, you've probably not tried hard enough. You've probably not had a go at the thing that you really need to. It's that feeling of discomfort is what tells you, oh, I'm on the edge of my comfort zone. Maybe there's something here. Let me have a go. Let me see what happens. And most of the time, the risk you're facing, you're probably not going to die from doing the exercise. You're probably not going to die from making the phone call. But the fear feels real, which we're going to come on to a lot through this course. Before we do, Simon.
I'm not Marcus Aurelius. The way that you looked at me then, it was like, Simon, this is
Simon. You are the Roman emperor of Rebel.
I love that, actually. I've always wanted that Roman emperorness. I think the thing for me, I love this. I love a bunch of the learnings from the Stoics, and it's like a signpost. This stuff is a signpost. If you're feeling discomfort, if you're feeling like barriers are popping up, then that's pointing you in the direction of where you need to go next. And I think like those feelings of fear that you're experiencing right now, for those that have been watching the chat carefully, that's all it is. It's fear. And that comes from a thought. You're just thinking scary thoughts. Like, if I think scary thoughts, I'll be scared too. My little one had his nativity thing today. So it's the dress rehearsal with the whole school. And he said to me tonight, he said, the dolphins class was sat right next to me. And I said, I don't know what that means, George. Tell me what that means. And he said, it's the big children. It's the year 5 and 6, the 10 and the 11-year-olds. He said, I felt scared because they were stood and sat right next to me when I had to deliver my lines. And just for context, folks, my little one is 7 and he's the narrator in this year's nativity play. Big responsibility. He has a bow tie and everything, right? And do you know what? I was so proud of him because of what he said to me. He said, I was scared and then I read out my lines. And it just reminded me that you can still do stuff just because you're scared. It doesn't stop you from doing things. It's just a feedback from what thoughts are going through your head. And we don't have to be afraid of them because they're just thoughts. They can't hurt us. They can't actually hurt us. It's just some thinking. So, I know, like bow ties are definitely in, Sandy, especially when you're 7. My kids are the wisest people I know for sure.
And the reason we put this quote up, like what stands in your way becomes the way, is quite often the thing you're afraid of is the thing we need to tackle to make progress. And the universe is really annoying like that. And I don't like it, but that's just the way it is. So if we can tackle that thing in front of you, we can start to make progress. And to build on that, it's rarely the thing, like the problem is not often the problem, it's the way we're thinking about the problem, if that makes sense. And I wanted to build a business. That was my thing. So when I was starting out way before Simon, I wanted to build a business and I knew I had to call people to get business. That was my way to do it. But I was deadly afraid of making cold calls. I didn't want to do it. It petrified me, made me sweat with fear, didn't want to do it. Sometimes I would sit outside crying because I knew I had to make the calls, but I didn't want to. And I was in this tortured state of wanting to do it, but not wanting to do it. And I was stuck in purgatory in between. And it wasn't the calls, like actually making a call is not that difficult. Picking up a phone, saying hello is not that difficult. It was the way I was thinking about the call that was the problem. And that was what was torturing me. My thoughts were torturing me, not the telephone or the person on the other end, because I hadn't rung them yet. Like they hadn't even told me to go away. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But that killed me. And you had a similar experience with the to-do list.
The to-do list and I have a long and interesting past relationship. it's been a source of a lot of pain and frustration and arguments between me and Alan, because I like write all these things down on my to-do list and then stress about it. And now that I'm retired and can do anything with my time, I'm writing really cool stuff on that list. And I still look at it and go, oh my goodness, I haven't finished my list. And what's going to happen when I finish my list is I'll put more cool stuff on it. So it's not the list that is my problem. It's the way I'm thinking about the list. The list is just a list. And in the past, I've thought, oh, maybe the problem is I had my list written out like pen and paper. I should probably like put it electronically. Then that will solve my problem. No, the problem is the way that I was thinking about it. And I still struggle with that and getting stressed about cool things that I've written on my list, which is bonkers. But yeah, it's the way I'm thinking about it rather than the actual thing. And that happens all the time.
And Sandy says, to-do lists trigger me so badly. I stopped making them. It reduced my anxiety so much. Like, it wasn't the to-do list causing the anxiety. It was the way we're thinking about the to-do list. And that's what we really need to understand as we're going through this stuff. It's not the to-do list. It's not the thing. It's not the cold call. It's the way we think about it and structure our thoughts about the items that are the actual problem. A to-do list isn't going to jump up and get you. A to-do list doesn't come and wake you at 2 a.m. and go, there's lots on me. Please make sure you do me. That's your head doing that, not the to-do list. And it's really interesting. Some people love them. Some people hate them. And like, they are just a thing. They're just a list. You have anything to add, Simon, before we move on?
I've got kettlebells by my door, Alan, and I keep stubbing my toe on them and not lifting them up. And I put them by the door so that I pick them up. And, you know, I have to walk past them 30, 40 times a day. And I know what kettlebells do. They're a fairly simple piece of apparatus. There's no complications required. But I hit my toe on them more than I do actually lift them. So I know it ain't anything to do with the kettlebells. It's how I'm thinking about the kettlebells. I just need to do something differently with those damn things.
Yes, I think you need to change your thinking about them and see them as something exciting, not something to kick.
Well, that's what struck me. And I was just looking at a couple of the comments, and there was somebody, I'm just going to scroll back. I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, maybe it was Caroline, about thinking about a career change and it's getting them stressed. Yeah, Carolina said that. And that just jumped out at me as a great example of, it just points to how you're thinking about the career change. It's not the career change idea that's scaring you. It's how you're thinking about it. And I think that's like an invitation to think about things differently. You know, it's just telling you that you've got your stressed goggles on. Take your stressed goggles off and put some exciting goggles on for a moment and see how the view changes. And that's some of the things that are going to be coming up throughout this evening as to how we can obliterate the barriers, Alan.
And what if we looked at it slightly differently, that every problem that is sent to you is sent to teach you something? And sometimes the problems are people. Have you ever had someone come into your life that was like just marginally annoying? They frustrate you, they annoy you, and they maybe do it for 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, decade.
You're talking about me.
They're sent to teach you something. They are sent to help you learn something. And we actually need to see that as a gift to get that learning from. And what if your problems were the biggest gift the universe could give you to help you learn a lesson? And it keeps sending you the same problem again and again until you get the lesson from it. And it's fascinating, like the problems you get that we get stuck in and can't get over, and there's something there for us to learn. And Simon and I always say, like, it's like you've got to get to the next level. So we've got to learn what it is on this level of life, this area of life. And this is just a made up story. It's a metaphor, but it's one that's helped us. It's like, let's learn what this level is trying to teach us so that we can go to the next level. And then maybe there's a bigger lesson there and we have to learn how to defeat the big bad boss. And then we can learn to go to the next level. And it's really fascinating how it works.
Simon often asks you this question, doesn't he?
He does.
When you're in a pickle. What is this problem sent to teach me?
Is that annoying you? I keep asking you that.
Well, it's because you ask it very early on in the process. So I'm like still grumpy about the problem itself and whinging. And then you go, what does it send to teach you? And I go, oh, okay.
I don't want to be around you when you're grumpy. I want to get you into a good headspace. It's basically a selfish question, Alan.
It's a brilliant question.
Expedite the process from grump to enlightenment.
It is a brilliant question. If you are ever coming across a problem, if there's someone else is around you who's having a problem, ask them the question, what was this problem? What was this person? What was this issue? What was this thing sent to teach you? Because I bet you there is something to learn from it. And you might go, I already know the lesson. Well, are you doing it? Because sometimes I get sent the same lessons again and again until I actually do what the lesson is. It's really interesting. Moving on, we also need to notice the story, Katie.
Yes, we do. And go, ooh, a story. Because the way you're thinking about the problem is probably a story. It's something that you've told yourself and repeatedly told yourself that the reason this is hard is because XYZ. There's a story around it. And that's what's making the problem feel insurmountable, is because you have that story that's trapping you.
One of the comments in the group, Natalie Jane, says, when I was 17, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and the doctors told me my life was over. Wow. I learned that my life wasn't over unless I decided it, and that I could achieve more than anyone else expected of me if only I believed in myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The things we get told when we're young can be so damaging. So James, who's head of sales at the Rebel School, he was told by doctors that he wasn't allowed to do any sport because it was too dangerous for him. And then he went on to finish an Ironman. So I love that, Natalie Jane. It sounds like you've got kindred spirit with James there. Outstanding.
And Natalie Jane changed the story. The doctor's story was your life is over. She then changed that and went, no, it's not. It's just starting, but in a different way, and went out and made things happen. And I love that about changing the story. David Robinson says story equals limiting beliefs. Absolutely. A story is kind of a belief that we tell ourselves. It's something we think about, something that's happened, something we've attached a meaning to something, and that's become our story, our limiting belief, our belief about how we react.
And I think the danger is when it's someone in authority that gives you that story. So the doctor that gave Natalie Jane that, like, your life is over, it's harder to reject that sometimes, isn't it? So you got to be wary that even these so-called like authority figures, revered figures, people that you should be listening to, can and do get it wrong all the time.
Yeah, I've argued a court case to protect my mum's house, and the judge told me that the house was going to be taking off us over a certain point of law. And I knew that point of law was incorrect, but he ruled against us. And this is a judge, and it's like, do I listen to the story he's made up? Because I know he's made it up. It's not true. So I appealed. And you don't have to believe the stories these people say it. It's really interesting. Quite often you get to decide what your story is. Now, this is a dangerous week because we're talking a lot about the word stories, and some people get offended when we say this because they go, mine isn't a story, it's a real thing. Or they go like, what are you talking about, Alan? What are you talking about, Simon? This is like the fact, the truth. It's not a story. It's not a limiting belief. It just is a fact. And this is potentially a week where it's dangerous that people could get offended. If during this week you feel like we have said something to upset you, please examine what's going on in your head and tell us. Our genuine desire is to help. And in that genuine desire to help, we may say things that challenge you. And if we do, we want to apologize for hurting you, but I want you to realize it's coming from a place that we want you to make progress.
That's the way.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
And so please allow us, give us permission to challenge, to help, to push. And it might not feel like that sometimes. It might feel like, oh, that Alan, he's really mean.
He is quite mean.
He is sometimes. I'm a bit grumpy sometimes. But I'm doing it because I really care and I want to help. So just if it happens, notice it, write it down and think, what happened? What is the story here? Excellent.
Tim says we have permission. So Tim is, on behalf of everybody here, has said.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim has given permission
Tim.
For all 1,000 people watching. Excellent.
That's the legal stuff covered. That's the disclaimer.
Tim said yes for everyone.
Leo also said offend away. So that, I think that's gives us permission.
Perfect timing for the next slide, because we've actually spun a story for you already. Please, can you stick in the chat if you think you know what the story is? I'll give you a clue. It's to do with the title. Look at that. Where's the story in that? Well, here's the thing. And what's been fascinating for me in the last couple of years is realizing that the illusion of real is very, very strong. It does seem and feel and look real. But when we use language like Breakthrough Week, we've assumed that there's something to break through. Yeah, that's it, Deandra, spot on. We've also assumed that there's a barrier that needs to be obliterated. Well, what if it didn't? What if Breakthrough Week, you didn't need to break through anything at all? Maybe you just need to get over it or under it or around it or go in a different direction. Maybe there's no barriers to be obliterated at all. Maybe there's things that you can climb on to get an even better view. And I think like the language of this is a story in itself. And we're not just breaking down the stories that you might have, we're breaking down our own this week as well. We've got plenty of stories to break down.
We've been spinning a lot of stories, haven't we, for the last 2.5 weeks?
And there's nothing wrong with that, because that, as human beings, that's how we operate, because the world is so complex. We'd never be able to function if we had to explain all of the detail of everything and how it all works. So we make up stories that helps us navigate our way around the world. And the thing is, we just need to spot the stories that are enabling us and the stories that are holding us back from getting what we want.
Sonia's one in the chat, she said, it's more like getting out of my own way. I'm quite curious how many Sonias she's got that she can put one of herself in her way and then block herself.
Cloning.
Moving on, Simon's trainers. These are Simon's trainers.
Why have you got a picture of my shoes, Alan?
Because I want to know if the audience think A, Simon is trying to regain his youth, or B, they're genuinely cool trainers. This is poll time. We actually have a poll on this now. Of course you do. These are Simon's trainers. How old are you, Simon? You're like a grown man now. Nike's always my choice, says Leo at 42 years old. Air Max 97 cool, says Chris Andrews. There is a poll. Yes, Please Chris. Vote now. What are the options?
What do you think of Simon's trainers? I don't really care.
It's suddenly taken a weird twist this week, hasn't it?
I can't believe you spent that amount of money on those trainers. How much did you spend?
How much were they, Simon?
They're about 125, 130 pounds, I think.
Oh my goodness. I'm voting too. Or are they wow, those are really cool? Or are you trying to regain your youth, Simon? Ruth on YouTube says regain youth.
Naomi says she doesn't care. Answer A. That's the best answer.
Yeah.
There is a point to this, I'm sure.
Yeah, Adam says lane trainers cool dude.
Joshua says I used to be a professional athlete. Not even my shoes were that expensive. I'm going to end the poll.
Amanda says midlife crisis trainers.
The results are in. The people have spoken, Simon.
What are the
What did they say?
And actually, the winning answer was, wow, those are really cool with 37%. However, just behind with 35%, I don't really care. So take from that what you will, Simon.
Yeah, so what's the message? Put us out of our misery, because this is a long section on trainers where people are going, what is happening here? What's the message? Is there a point?
Well, what I've taken from this is that people don't really care how cool I am. Which is that's how I've interpreted the stats.
That's your story.
The point to this is, I got to Johannesburg Airport, and I look at the colours of the shoe. Right now, I got to Johannesburg Airport, and I got taken aside by security when they looked at my shoes and they wanted to have a private conversation with me. I thought, oh goodness, and I'm glad Dom's just about to get on a plane. So take heed, Dom. Think about your footwear. He said, I'm so excited about your shoes. Why are you excited about my shoes? He said, I've never seen those colours and they remind me a little bit of some of our South African colours. And where did you get them from? And he questioned me for about 20 minutes. We held up the queue. It was a bit embarrassing. And it just reminded me that I've had so many different opinions of the trainers. They're really cool. They're too expensive. You're trying to get your youth back. I've never seen those before. Wow, they're amazing. Wow, they're awful. I can't believe you spent that amount of money on something that was made in a factory. And all of these different views. The fascinating bit for me is that the trainers haven't changed. It's just our viewpoint of the trainers. So we're walking around, all 8 billion of us, making up stories about all of the things that we see. And actually, it's not real. It's just a pair of trainers. But what you think about the trainers is all made up. And here's the interesting bit. There are no exceptions. Our opinions are formulated by all of our stories, and it's all made up. Not even traffic wardens. Like, I used to think that traffic wardens were the exception. You're like parking attendants that write you tickets. My opinion of traffic wardens, it turns out, is nothing to do with the traffic warden. It's the opinion that I've made up about them. Oh no. What does that mean, Alan?
It means you made up a story, Simon, and then you lived your life that traffic wardens were just there to torture you when it was nothing to do with the traffic wardens.
Sandy says, if you need us to approve your shoe choice, it sounds like you need some more self-confidence.
I don't need approval. I'm confident in my footwear, but thank you for asking.
And I actually think you took that really well, Simon. But the point here is, like, the trainers are the trainers. We just make up stories about them. And there are stories everywhere. You need to watch out for stories. We all make up stories about everything. We make up stories about whether we like cats, whether we like dogs, what type of person we are, what type of thing we do. We make up whether we like pineapples or not. Exactly. Whether my pineapple is bigger than the other person's pineapple. That's a story.
You have a lovely pineapple.
Thank you, Katie. Someone says in the chat, it's a lovely cat. We do have a little poll here. So launch the poll, Katie. The point of this is, like, what type of person are you? Are you a cat person? Are you a dog person? Are you both a cat person and a dog person? Or don't you like either?
Bartek says human person.
Bartek says human person. I really like that. I'm a human person too.
Diandra, allergies. I don't know if that means you like them but can't touch them, or
Leo says I have 2 mutts and a cat.
K Studio 23 Photography on YouTube says dog with a kiss. Annie says cats. Phil says both but prefer dogs. I'm going to end the poll and share the results.
What's the purpose of this one, Simon?
It's all made up, isn't it? It's all made up again.
Dogs aren't made up.
The dogs, yeah, and the dogs are real, but how I think about the dog is another thing. And I think that's what we're doing here, folks. Like, I know you're getting this, but the point of this is, these are the obvious ones. It's the ones that the stories that aren't so obvious that we want to help you unpick, because those are the things that are guiding which direction we're headed in.
And it's very interesting when we say I am a cat person, we are linking it to our identity. That is who I am as a person. And that becomes a very powerful statement, which is why people love their pets so much. And they absolutely love them. And it's a very powerful relationship with those pets. And we keep telling ourselves stories. And, like, let's have a look at some of the ones that are a little bit more difficult. Kara's just put, like, I'm not good at maths. Did you read the slide before I put it up, Kara?
How did she do that?
I don't know. It's impressive. I have a friend who literally repeats, I'm not good at maths. And when he says I'm not good at maths, what happens? He doesn't try. He's like, that's it. I'm not good at maths. I am. This is my identity, is I'm not good at maths. I tend to believe that anyone can learn basic maths and do it. Like, I know reasonable maths, and it's just practice. Paul Dehan says, I keep saying my memory is not good. Like,
that's a good one. I hear that a lot, right? I hear that a lot. That's a very, very powerful story, that if you keep telling yourself that over and over again for the next sort of 3 or 4 decades, you know, and I don't know how many times a week you might say it, but to me, I got someone that I'm coaching at the moment who does the same thing. And it just strikes me that they've got so much going on in their heads right now. They've got so many stories going on, but they find it harder to remember things at the moment. It's nothing to do with the quality of their memory. Because they could tell me what they had for dinner yesterday. Like, shows me memory's pretty good.
I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday. I can remember other things.
Breakfast?
I do want to say there was one in the chat that popped past. I'm going to butcher someone's name, but it was ESTH, SF. she said, I am a loser. Like, that is such a strong identity and a really dangerous one. And like, we'd love to work with you to change that, because that's just what's happened in the past. And the best thing about the past is it's over and we can do something about the future. But these are the stories that trap us. Katie had, I'm not very creative. You used to repeat that.
Oh, yeah. The reason being is that my mum, when I was a kid, said that she wasn't creative. And I was like, oh, I'm quite similar to my mum, so I'm going to adopt that for myself. Obviously, this was all subconscious. I didn't consciously think that. But she's one of the most creative people I know. She does quilting and patchwork and she makes her own clothes. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, I'm following a pattern, therefore I'm not being creative. Like, when you made something, you actually created something. And I took on that belief, and I play music, and I was always like, no, I will only ever play what someone else has written, and therefore that's not creative. And now not only do I do that and know that I am creating music, I create my own music as well, because
you create these slides.
I created slides as well.
Create courses. Like, it's really interesting. Like, our identities trap ourselves with what we're doing. There's one of my favorite comments just came up. Someone said, what if I am indecisive? ? It made me laugh so much. That's one of the best ones I have seen. Let me tell you, you are not indecisive. You're so much more than that. Simon has this one, like, I'm not good at paperwork. That's the belief you tell yourself, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, I used to tell myself this all the time. In fact, I've got my accountants chasing me at the moment for paperwork, and the story is in danger of repeating itself. But I also know that if I create the space and time to do it properly, I actually quite enjoy the process. Once I'm in, you know what it's like, once you're in it, and I've got a pot of coffee next to me, and I like seeing the paperwork disappear and then making sure that thing's all done properly. And I kind of like the numbers adding up. I like the piles of receipts that have been labeled and filed in the right order. But the thing that stops me is the story of what I think it's going to be like. When I actually get on with it, when I'm present in the moment, it feels fine. Kind of quite like it. Don't tell Emma I said that.
Wendy says, how can we change our identity? Which is actually a brilliant question to ask. You turned a challenge into a question. We're going to go through that as we're doing it today.
Amelia on YouTube says, what I'm seeing here is that we're swapping stories for ones that serve us better. Is that fair to say? I'm having a hard time seeing all stories as all bad.
Exactly.
Are we saying stories are bad?
No, we're saying stories like there are empowering stories and there are disempowering stories. But most of the time we tell ourselves the disempowering ones. But you can easily switch that and tell yourself an empowering story that helps you make progress.
Stories are inevitable, so why not choose the one that gets you where you want to go?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to look at today, is telling ourselves good stories so we can unlock our progress and energy, find our creativity, make what we want to make happen. And it changes everything. So let's tell ourselves good stories that help us. Like, I am creative. I am good at paperwork. I just need to sit down, turn off the kids and do it.
Turn off the kids. Simon's getting a lot of unsolicited offers of paperwork being sent to him.
Yeah. No, I'm too busy doing my own paperwork that I love to do.
So we're going to just have a little data piece. So there is a data alert right now. So I would like to introduce the Rebel Business School, Rebel Finance School, Rebel Head of Data, Mrs. Katie Donegan.
Hello, everyone. We asked you some questions a couple of weeks ago on the pre-course questionnaire that we sent. Do you remember that? Seems like a long time ago. And we've been analysing your answers. So we've been reading through your answers and learning about what you said when you joined up to the course. And we've, as Alan said, we've been through thousands of them. And these are the questions that we asked you. So we said, as you sit here today, what are the themes, areas and issues that you'd like to explore more deeply during the course? And you can see here that the answers...
We turned it into a word cloud was the first step to see what words came up the most often, which was fascinating. So the words were like business, life, work, time. And it was interesting as well. I saw a lot of words like I want to do this. There was a lot of wanting and liking and like finding and going towards something in those words. But it was all about business, life, work.
And then the next questions we asked you were about barriers, either barriers that you've had in the past that have stopped you getting where you want to be, or perceived barriers like what you think might stop you in the future. So we're curious, put in the chat, what do you think the most common barriers are? Before we reveal what they were, let us know what you think are the common barriers that people come up against.
Ligia says, I don't remember filling out this questionnaire. You might not have done. 1,000 people did, but maybe it was you, maybe it wasn't.
Fear, money, time, procrastination, being stuck, time, fear, money, same things coming up.
Not enough energy, don't have enough time, feeling of disappointment.
Perfectionism, lack of motivation, time, money,
partners. Myself.
Phil says lack of money, time, confidence.
Family, kids, job, money, age. Age, interesting. Now I just want to ask Dion how old she is, but I probably shouldn't.
Which is what other people might have said, maybe.
Mindset, myself. Our first task, we turned your answers into a word cloud. And our second task, we read every one. That took a long time, but we read all the answers to understand them. And then we categorized all the answers and we created something from it. So the first step was the word cloud.
So this was the question we asked you. When you've tried to make changes in your life before, what are the things that have held you back? So this is things that have happened in the past, times you've wanted to make change, times you wanted to do something differently, and what stopped you. So big ones are what you said in the chat, what you thought it might be, which is time, fear, confidence, lack, relating to money, relating to time.
And then it was really interesting. There's a big one right at the top, family. What has held you back? Family. Fascinating what happened. Yeah, someone's just written in the chat, family opinions. And the second question we asked was sort of about the barriers in the future. When you think about the dream progress that you want to make in your life, what's your best guess of the issues that will prevent you from making your dreams a reality? What's going to stop you? And this is what came up.
So very similar answers. Again, it's time and fear, money, confidence, lack of something, work, enough, a feeling of being enough. It's fascinating to see the same answers coming up time and again. So we're going to show you what those three most common ones are and talk a little bit about them and suggest ways that you might overcome them.
So we read every answer and categorized them. And we obviously, Katie created the chart. She built a chart for us.
I got a lovely comment about my tree map from last week.
Excellent.
So 13% of answers talked about fear in some way, and we'll go into a little bit more about what that was in a little bit. But then also, interestingly, there was a lot of answers also that mentioned confidence,
which is the number 2,
which you could think of that as two different sides of the same thing. So if you're fearful, you don't really have confidence, whereas if you had confidence, maybe that fear wouldn't stop you. So we see those as two like very linked, related things.
People would say I have a lack of confidence to make progress, and other people would say I'm afraid of doing it, which is kind of like saying a very similar thing. So that was the number one thing. Like nearly 25%, 1 in 4 were saying fear, confidence.
Then the next one was money. So 13% of answers referred to money. So lack of money, lack of finances,
lack of resources.
Make sure you earn enough to support your family and responsibilities like that. And then the other top one. So we're combining fear and confidence as one. Second was money. And then time was the third one. And then there were all sorts of different ones as well. So there was like motivation, family and responsibilities, procrastination, myself and self-sabotage. And I reckon you can group a lot of these ones that are on the right-hand side under fear and confidence. So other people's opinions are holding me back. Well, that's fear about what other people think.
Procrastination. Quite often people procrastinate because they're afraid of what will happen if they do it. Motivation. We don't have the motivation because we don't know what's going to happen because we're afraid. We don't have the confidence. It's really interesting how many of these are related to our confidence or how afraid we are. And that's one of the biggest things that we can do to help us make progress, is to booster our confidence. Ruth Berman put on YouTube imposter syndrome as one of them. And imposter syndrome is very much like, oh, I've got the lack of confidence. I don't think I am that person that should be doing it. It's really fascinating. Now, those are what we've come across.
Yes.
Let's have a quick look at the top 3 before we move into the next section. So the number 1 was fear and confidence.
So this is a flavour of what people said, and these often came up multiple times. So we had, I don't believe in myself and I'm scared of taking risks. I'm scared of the unknown. I lack faith in my ability to succeed. I doubt my own abilities. I don't have belief or confidence in myself. And then these last 2, really interesting. On the one side, fear of failure, and on the other side, fear of success and imposter syndrome, meaning you don't think like, I've had this success, but I don't deserve it. Like, who am I to be in this position? So it's fascinating to see. And one thing that's helped me in the past when I've felt fearful about things is this fear setting exercise, which I've borrowed from the great Tim Ferriss. If you scan that QR code, it will take you to an article that explains how to do this exercise, which is to define your fear. A lot of people say, I'm scared of the success, or I'm scared I'm going to fail. What specifically is it that you think is going to happen? And he takes you through this awesome set of questions to help flush that out. So if there's something that you think is holding you back, I encourage you to do this exercise. So scan that QR code, and thank you, Tim Ferriss, for that.
It's excellent.
Simon.
I'm waving at you weirdly. I don't know why I was doing that. I was just going to say that the fear setting exercise, if you're someone that put in the chat earlier on this evening that you were feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the information, with the homework that you've done, you don't have to do all of these things, is what I'm saying. You've got full permission to go, actually, I've got quite a lot that I'm working on at the moment. I don't want to do that. But this would be a really good exercise if you are somebody that's thinking that fear is something that's getting in your way. But if it's overwhelmed, if you look at the thing and you go, well, it's way too much, full permission to dive back into the homework from previous weeks or ask for help in the Facebook group. And just very quickly before we go on to the next bit, just talking to imposter syndrome for a second. I met a Welsh MP a couple of years ago at one of our courses, and her name's Carolyn. She's an amazing woman, had a really, really tough life with, difficulties with bereavement in the family and all sorts of other challenges. And she was an unemployed single mum, got a job as a dinner lady, and then went to a job centre one day, and they said to her, like, hey, you could go to university. And off she went, did a politics degree, ended up becoming the deputy leader of the Welsh government. And at the time I met her, there was loads of stuff in the news about her. There'd been a few controversies. And I said to her, like, you talked about imposter syndrome today with everybody. How do you get over imposter syndrome? And she said, well, I don't think. I said, well, what do you mean you don't think? She said, well, if I give it a moment's thought that who am I to be a deputy leader of the Welsh government? Who am I to be in the House of Commons making decisions on behalf of the Welsh people and the British people? If I thought for 1 second, then I'd never get out of bed in the morning. My best advice to getting over imposter syndrome is to stop thinking scary thoughts. And that was her advice. I thought, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good advice to me. She'd spotted what was behind the imposter syndrome. Anyway,
which is the questions we ask ourselves.
Yeah.
It's those questions of, like, who am I to do this? Why should I be one doing this? It's like really difficult. Those questions, just stop asking them. Ask a different question. Like, how much fun could I have today? That's a better question, which will get a different answer. And the flip side of this is confidence. We've got a lot around that later this week. So we're going to talk a lot about confidence and beliefs and how all this lines up shortly. So we're coming on to that. We'll move on to number 2.
Time. And this is a comment that someone put in the survey, which was really representative of what a lot of people were saying, which is, my problem is too little time. I'm a working single mum. I don't have family nearby to support me. And by the time my kid goes to bed, I'm too tired to do anything.
Which makes it really interesting. One of the things I've discovered with Rebel Business School and actually my own life is that it's rarely time. It's energy. Because people have time late at night, they have time at different points, but they don't have any juice, any energy to put into it. They're exhausted. And you might work all day and then come home and then you deal with the kids. The kids go to bed at 8 o'clock. Like, there's 2 hours there. But do you have the energy to put into those 2 hours? Or do you slump onto the couch exhausted and can't do anything? And like sometimes I get to the end of the day and it's 7 p.m. and I get frustrated because I'm just exhausted, but I want to do stuff. And it is how you use your time as well, Karen says, and that is totally true. It is how you spend your time. And Ali Lockie says you need downtime as well, though. You do need downtime. You need to rest. But it's rarely the time that's the issue. It's the energy and the ability to do stuff with the time. That's the fascinating thing. So I just wanted to reframe this one slightly. And we had two particular reframes, which means just changing the way we look at it. A reframe is just, let's change the way we look at this thing. And the reframes are, first, a question: how might I care for myself so that I have energy to build the life I want to live? Like, how do I look after my body, myself, my mental health, so I can have the energy to do the life I want to live? And the second one is, I can't do everything, but I always have the energy and the time for the most important things. Then that brings it down to, what is the most important thing? What are you going to spend your energy on?
And stop trying to do everything.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I think Katie is talking to herself primarily there.
Throughout this course, that's who I'm talking to. Never mind all these people out there. This is all directed at me.
You have a question, Simon?
Well, I was just reading the chat actually, and I was just going through something that Carolyn said stuck out for me, which was all about the biorhythm. The times when you're feeling like you've got loads of energy for stuff versus the times when actually I don't have the energy right now, and spotting when you're feeling pumped versus when you actually need to rest. And I think rest is really important, which we're going to dive into some more next week. But I think like what we wanted to do now, folks, we wanted to find out from you how much time you might have spent looking at these damn things. So what we'd like to invite you to do is to put in the chat your
we have a poll.
No, we have a poll.
We have a poll.
We're not doing that. Oh, okay. Don't put anything in the chat apart from messages of love, because
yes, if you wouldn't
forgot
mind.
We had a poll. How many polls have we had this week?
This
I know you're Polish.
Katie is Polish now. Oh, they've done a 3 with a heart. Yeah, it's confession time. So you can actually look this up on your iPhone. If you just search screen time, it will pop up and show you.
I don't want to see that.
Neft in the live studio audience is refusing to do it because he doesn't want to see it.
Oh, Neft, we really need this now. And now I'm curious, my friend.
If you have Android, go to settings, digital wellbeing, your digital wellbeing tools, and it will tell you there. So we're going to launch a poll to ask you what it tells you about how much you spend on your phone on average in a day.
Yeah, launch the app now. Daniel says 5 hours, 10 minutes a day. Tim Rock says 46 minutes yesterday, 1 hour 31 the day before.
So the poll options are less than an hour, 1 to 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours, and more than 5 hours. So rather than putting it in the chat, or as well as putting in the chat, please answer the poll as well. And YouTubers, curious what you have as well, yes, as your definitely. Average screen time.
Flips say 55 minutes.
Neft
4 hours 55 1 minutes. 4 hours 51 minutes daily average.
Neft, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Lucy,
I'm in your territory there as well. I have to say, I've spent a lot of time on my phone. I guess some of it's a little bit of a hack because it's a Zoom call, but I'm definitely spending too much time on my phone.
We've just Finn, who's here in the live audience, has just shown me his 4 hours 24 minutes is Finn's. Mine was 3 hours 56. Tasheen says 5 hours 55 minutes, which is apparently 1 hour 47 less than last time. 3 hours today. Isn't it interesting? Like, I was shocked that my number was 3 hours 56, like truly shocked. Someone says, what happened Tuesday? I think I was dealing with Facebook questions and leaving comments. So I must have spent 2 hours literally giving ideas on Facebook, which is the day I got banned for leaving too many comments. But that was engaging in the extraordinary group. Isn't it interesting?
So what's the point of this, Alan? Why would we ask people how much time they spend on their phones?
The point of this is, like, what are you willing to give up to get to your dreams? There's an interesting question. What are you willing to give up to get to your dreams? Fenderva says 8 hours plus. FM says 1 hour on smartphone, but 6 hours on laptops. Depends what you're doing. It's really interesting. Like, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up some of your time on your phone? Says it buzzing right now on the desk next to us. That's hilarious when that happens. Are you willing to give up 1 Netflix hour a week to work on your life? And have a slight different viewpoint as well. Like, what else are you willing to give up for your dreams? And there's a picture of a hamburger. How do you feel after you eat a hamburger? Do you have more energy or less energy? Like, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up certain bad foods to be able to feel better? Like, when I eat a salad at lunch, I'm awake in the afternoon and focused. If I eat a giant lunch, I'm asleep by 3 o'clock, like destroyed. Like, what are you actually willing to give up? Alistair Lockie said, that egg, though, yes, that burger does look amazing. Have it on Sunday when it's the day of rest or something. I'm not saying you have to give it up permanently. It's okay. But, like, what are you willing to give up to be able to...
And I think the thing for me is that this isn't about us being the fun police. I think it's just about making conscious choices rather than subconscious ones, right? So we're more deliberate about how we spend our time. That's the exciting bit for me, is that when I look at some of the numbers of screen time, I go, I could launch 3 other business if I applied myself in that time. And I'm telling myself I'm too busy in the one that I run. So I guess that's what this is about.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, oh, naughty, you spent too long on your phone. It's, are you consciously doing that with your time? If you love it and if you want to be spending your time that way and it's congruent with your values and it's living the life you want to live, do it. I don't care. But if it's stopping you from doing what you want to do and zapping your energy rather than giving you energy, you might want to change what you're doing so that you can get to where you want to be.
I love that. Several people are putting in the chat late nights, which I also find interesting, because what's the cost of a late night? Energy the next day. And it's your energy. The price for that variance in sleep is your energy, which is what you use for your life. So, like, this is a really important question. I'd love you to take it away and think about it. What are you willing to give up? What are you doing that doesn't serve you that you could give up? And sometimes it's actually giving up things that you don't actually enjoy anyway. Like, I sometimes catch myself surfing on Instagram, which never fills me with joy. I should just give up on that. Cara says TV. Tracy says late nights and wine. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, please take this question away and genuinely think about, what am I willing to give up for the dream and the future I really want?
So bringing it back to the time thing, and for those of you that are trying to get everything done and please everyone and do everything on your to-do list, I'd love to tell you the aim of life is not to complete your to-do list.
Shock horror. Did you know that?
There is happiness and peace waiting at the end of the to-do list. Surely, if I tick everything off, then I'm allowed to be happy and peaceful. I have tried this, ladies and gentlemen, millions of many times. It's not waiting for you there. It's just not. And this book really helped me with this. It's called 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. And his message is, stop trying to complete everything. Focus on what's important. And if you're someone like me that has struggled with this concept of fitting everything into the time and doing everything and pleasing everyone, I highly recommend you read this book.
I love that. Trailer for week 4, which is next week, True Self-Care. We have a lot more on the subject of looking after yourself on this journey. So we are coming back to that. We're going to crack straight in with the next segment, which is money. So we wanted to talk briefly about money. Money is a huge issue, especially at this time with increased inflation, with wages not necessarily trending following inflation. Like, money is being squeezed, and it is a difficult thing. And it came up a huge amount of times with comments like this.
We had lack of ability to make income. So this is the barriers that people not getting to where they want to be. Lack of ability to make income, not business minded, lack of interest in the economy, fear of losing my savings, lack of money, worry change will impact my income, impulsive spending, spending too much, not having enough money. That's some of the common themes that we saw. And
Like, we can't tackle money in this course as well, but luckily we did another course called Rebel Finance School.
That's one I prepared
earlier. We'll be doing one in 2023. Please don't tell anyone the YouTube videos for 2022 are still up. We haven't taken them down. So if money was on your list, like, that whole 10-week course is there to help you with that. And obviously the questions and helping you accelerate past that. Like, we can help you through this course, because the whole ask a question, turn the problem into a question, come up with ideas and make progress will work just as well on money as any other areas. But this one, we've put a lot of stuff into this. So thank you. Oh, Carolyn says, brilliant course, highly recommended. Rob says RFS is brilliant. And there's been a lot of chat about 4,000 Weeks is a great book as well.
And we're not trying to sell you anything here. This, like, everything that Rebel does is completely free. This is our way of giving back and wanting to help people, because we know this is a big sticking point for a lot of people.
Although if you want to send me Lego, I will never say no.
Lego and tacos. But we're going to deal with a lot, like, there might be beliefs and identity things around money that are holding you back as well. And we're going to come on to that today.
Alanda says, how do I sign up to this? There's a link on there. Brady says, do I take crypto? No, Brady, just Lego. That's the pure trading platform. Don't get me started on crypto. We'll move on. What we've kind of been highlighting here is the reason why people get stuck. And this is something I've realized over the last 2 years, and it's happened to me as well, is people get stuck in purgatory. And what I mean by that is they want to build a business, but they don't believe they're a business person, and they're stuck. They have a goal and they have an identity that doesn't match it, and they're like trapped in the middle. Or they want to be healthy, but they don't believe it's possible. Or they have this belief that they can't do it. And so they're stuck in the middle and they're tortured. I had this over making cold calls. I was literally tortured because I was like, this is the way to build my business. This is what I want to do, but I can't do it. It's scary. I hate it. What if they say no? What if they reject me? And I tore myself to pieces, stuck in the middle, trying to get out. And this is what we want to do, is help you get out of this purgatory state, because people have goals, but there's also stories of why they can't do it. And then those conflicting things are what tear you apart. And it's so painful. It is so painful because you're trying to achieve the goal, but you don't believe it's possible. So you literally rip yourself in two. That's what we need to end. And we have some ideas of how to end that. And this is the next biggest section of the whole course is on those bits. So the number one idea is use your values to decide where you spend your energy. Like, that will help you get out of this purgatory bit. What's the most important thing on your values? And then that's where you put your energy. That's where you put your energy. Carolina asked me, how did I get over the cold calling purgatory? I'll tell you in a bit, in the Q&A. Ask me in the Q&A. Decision-making is like a muscle. And we're stuck in purgatory because we can't make a decision of which way to go, because we feel there's pain if we do this and pain if we do that. So we don't make a decision. We stay trapped in the middle. That's why we get stuck. And it's like we're not used to using our decision-making muscles to get going. And the decision-making muscles, they're just like muscles in the gym. They're just the same. Like, if you don't work them out, they atrophy, they shrink. And then you lose the ability to make decisions. So some of us have lost that strength in our decision-making muscles. So we don't know how to get going. So what we're saying to you is use your values and start to make decisions. Use the muscles. The only way to develop decision-making muscles is to get down the decision-making gym, which is really easy because you don't actually have to leave your house. You just make a decision now. Like, what am I deciding to do? What's my decision for the course? What's my decision for this? Is Dan deciding to scratch his head right now? That's a decision. But make a decision and start practicing those decisions. And that's how you develop. I decide to eat healthily today, just for one meal. And some of us, me included at times, have I don't know how to say it, flabby decision-making muscles. Like, they've not been used for a while and they're a bit limp. And we need to work them out to help us make better decisions quicker. And the only way to do it is to start making those decisions and use your values and start working out your decision-making muscles.
So a few stories popped up in the chat. Sam says, I can't make any decisions. Even the most mundane decision cripples me. Well, you made a decision to type in the chat. So I reckon that's a decision. So I reckon that you can make some decisions. And I wasn't particularly enjoying them, Sarah. You're absolutely right. People that have said that they find decision-making difficult, like if you're stuck in purgatory, like Alan says, for me, it's a signpost that's pointing to the fact that you're overthinking something. That's all it really means. If you're stuck, you're thinking about what if this and what if that, and you're endlessly scenario planning. And so my coach, Jamie Smart, one of my favorite stories of his, he tells of Napoleon. And Napoleon's thing, he was supposed to have kind of gone for a walk the day before a battle. So he'd spend 3 or 4 days making battle plans with all of his senior generals, and then he'd disappear the night before the battle. And all of his pals were thinking, "Oi, where's Napoleon gone? Oh, he's gone for a walk in the woods." He's done what? What do you mean he's gone for a walk in the woods? We're about to fight our most important battle of the century, according to the history books that haven't been written yet. Where is he gone? Why has he gone for a walk? Well, and he was supposed to have said he was waiting for the answer to hit him in the eye, to strike him in the eye. And that if you want some help making decisions, one of the best gifts that you can give yourself is to underthink, not overthink. You know, take yourself out, go for a walk in nature. The reason why we get the best ideas in the showers. And just take a deep breath, be kind to yourself. And then the answer will strike you in the eye. It happened to me last week. I was walking around a reservoir near me. I didn't know what to do, and then ping, it suddenly arrived. Be Napoleon, Alan.
I can't believe you're telling that story the week before we play France in the World Cup. I'm very disappointed by that. We're going to move on quickly. Scarlett says, what is a value? Like an example of a value would be health. So if you wake up first thing in the morning and you're going, what should I do? Like look at your top value, health, and then do something that like helps you to move towards that. That's one way you can use this to start making decisions. We have a couple of other things to add to this that will make it easier to make decisions. The first is there is no right answer. Like there is no right answer to life. There is no right answer to should you go left, should you go right. There's no right answer. You just need to take action.
And no decision is a decision. Like
Finn is saying no decision is a decision. Like, yes, then there's no right answer. Like we just need to like take a direction. And that leads us on to the second one, which is Katie's favorite.
It's not binary. We rip ourselves in half sometimes, like because it's binary. No, it's not binary, because we think there's only 2 possible outcomes. So one lady was telling us that she wants to quit her job to start a speaking business. So that's what she wants to do. But her husband says, no, don't quit your job. Like we need the income. So there's the 2 of them with completely opposing, opposite views, thinking that those are the only 2 possible outcomes. Whereas there's so many different options in between. So how might this lady try doing the speaking business on the side as she goes? Maybe she can like take time off work every time she gets a gig to go and do that business. There's so many options in between, but we make it binary in our heads, which makes it like, oh, I don't want to do A because there's so much pain attached with it. I don't want to do B because there's different pain attached to it. And we can try it, or we can do some kind of third option. It's very rarely only 2 options.
And the classic one that we always get is, should I quit my job? And they're looking for a yes, no answer. It's like, well, you could go part-time, you could change jobs, you could step backwards, you could get promoted, you could say yes, you could quit your job. There's like a million different options for what you could do. It's not binary. We need to find the one that works for you. The final decision-making tip here is the 2-mountain theory. If you had 2 mountains in front of you, which one should you climb up? The left mountain or the right mountain? How do you know? And what most people do is sit between the mountains and think about it. And they write some pros and cons lists, they write a plan, they think about it, they maybe ask a bunch of people, which mountain should I run up? Vanya's saying they research. Some people can research for decades, Vanya. They can literally research mountains for decades without ever making a choice. What do you think I do when I look at those two mountains? I go, I think that one's the one I'm going to have a go at first, and I just run at it. And I run up the mountain and I go, oh no, this was the wrong mountain. And then I will run back down. The person in the middle is still researching, and I will pass them, and then we'll run up the other mountain, which is the other one. Like, the only way to know which mountain is the right is just to have a go at it and see which one is to test it. And you can just like make it happen and then reassess along the way. So test a mountain, go run up it one Sunday and see if it's the right one for you. If it's not the right one, then have a go at the second one. And it's also not binary. There's not two mountains. There's many mountains. You can choose any mountain. The mountain is a metaphor for the project that you're doing. You just have a go. And yeah, someone's saying, I like a swim. That's fine. That's action. Like jump in the lake, do this, do that. Like test and move forwards. That unlocks you.
As someone who's climbed several mountains with you, Alan, I can vouch for your mountain strategy. You do climb all the mountains.
Thank you. I do. Yes. And then next to me on the other side, Katie is the world record breaking mountain climber. But we'll come back to that another time. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. And that's what people do. They do the same thing. That's what I've done in the past. I do the same thing. I actually catch myself more now. I was doing it the other day, trying to make a website work, and I did the same thing 3 times in a row, and I got the same result. And I'm like, I am being insane here. Let me change browser. Let me change something. Let me change something different. And this itself is a story.
Yeah, I see lots of people have said, oh, my favorite quote, love that quote. One of my favorite quotes are the last 3 comments in there. Einstein, there's no evidence to suggest that Einstein actually said that. It's been attributed to him. It's just another story. It just happens to be one that's quite a useful
It's a good story.
We can leverage that story. It's a good story.
It's a good story. And that's what we were coming back to, which lots of people were saying is good stories, bad stories, not good, bad, but like empowering or disempowering stories. Which ones help us? This one helps me. This story is useful, and it's one I tell myself to unlock my progress. Next little part. If lots of you have said about procrastination and the inability to actually do what you want to do, I just want you to remember procrastination is not a barrier. It's a sign of incongruence. If you are procrastinating, it's because something's not lined up within you. Your identity doesn't match your values don't match your goal. Something is meaning you can't do it. So whenever you procrastinate, that's what it's a sign of. And what we want to give you now is a model to help unlock that idea of incongruence. Incongruence means things don't match. They're not matched up. They're not lined up. So here's the model we're going to go through. We're going to go through a congruence check, if I can say the words. And we're going to use these sort of alignment levels to look at it. So I would like you now to think of your biggest challenge. Like the area of life that's not working for you right now, the thing that's not quite there. I'd like you to think of that and then use this model to examine it. That's what I would love you to do. So this works best as a real thing. So maybe it's the business is not working. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm not quite as light as I wish to be. I don't have as much energy. Whatever the challenge is, this is the thing to help you have a look at it. And the alignment levels are, number 1, what's the goal? What's the vision? We had a little look at this last week, like what's the vision in health? What's the vision in these areas? So people have goals like I want to start a business. I want to get healthy. I want to spend more time with my family. That's the goal or the vision. The second level is identity. Who are you? Who are you? And does that match up? And we're going to go through each of these levels to break them down and explain them. The third is values, which we talked a lot about in week 1. Like, what do you value? Because if your goal is to build a business, but you don't value your career, you value everything else above it, you're setting yourself up for pain. If your goal is to be healthy, but you value something else, you're setting yourself up for pain and trapped in purgatory. The next one is beliefs. which you can substitute the word beliefs for stories, limiting beliefs. So what do you tell yourself and how does that affect you? Such as your goal might be, I want to be financially independent, and your story is, or your identity is, I'm not good with money and I believe money is evil. Like those things conflict and make it really hard to do what you want to do. Then we've got skills or capabilities. Like, do you have the skills to do the goal you want to do? Do you have those skills? Then we've got behaviors, and you can see behaviors is right at the end. Like the behavior might be you eat cake all the time, but the goal is you want to be healthy. That's incongruent. And there's something within here that if you get all the others lined up, the behavior is actually really easy to do. Then the final one is environment. Like, where are you? Your physical environment, you're like, what's around you, your environment. Like if you're trying to do your tax return and your cat is jumping all over your laptop and the music is blaring outside, the environment makes it difficult to get to your goal. So these are the environment alignment levels. And we're going to have a look at this stuff with where are you aligned? Because in some areas you will be really well aligned and it's quite easy for you to operate, life is easy. And some areas you're misaligned and you're finding it difficult. Then there's a second angle with this, which we'll explore more next week, but just to set it up, there is internal alignment, i.e. myself, and there is external alignment, like do I have alignment with my business partner, with the other people in the world, with my family, with my partner. Dan and Anita are looking at each other right now going, do we have alignment? Are we on alignment? Are we okay? But the magic happens when you are congruent, i.e. you have alignment. And this is going to help identify where you're stuck, what happens, and help us to make progress on it. So first we're going to do internal alignment, and like that's what we're going to work on to start with. And later you can talk about external alignment with the people you work with your friends, family, loved ones, that sort of stuff. So let's get straight on to this. Question for you is, who are you? I feel like a football thugger when I say that. Who are you? But who genuinely are you? What is the story you tell yourself about you? Because that's what it is, my story about me. I used to have a story I was shy. I used to have a story I didn't have confidence. I used to have lots of different stories about me. The kids at school told me a story that I was a fat boy. They told me I was 4 eyes. That was my identity back then, and I've changed it over the years. This is the identity level. But the identity, the stories that come up for me now, what I tell myself is I'm a geek. And I love that stuff. I am a geek pretty much. And then you tell myself I'm a husband to Katie. And I am. I'm strong. I like to be strong. That's part of my identity. I'm a Marvel fan. Like this will might sound arrogant, but like this is who I believe. I'm a hero because I help other people. That's what I believe. And that helps me to do what I need to do. I believe I'm a presenter. I'm a very good presenter. I believe I can do anything if I put my energy and heart into it. And it's this set of beliefs about me that help me to operate in the world. So who are you? What beliefs do you have about yourself?
A lot of people have asked, what's the difference between identity and beliefs?
Like an identity is a belief about yourself. A belief is like, I have a belief about money. I have a belief about the world. I believe Neft is a good person. I believe Finn is okay. I believe Simon is an average presenter. Like that's a belief. I'm kidding. You're amazing, Simon. You know I love you. So identity is beliefs you hold about who you are, and they become powerful. They become very powerful. And yes, Ali Lockie, you are in the photo on the right. You are there. I love you. So like, just to give you an idea of how this conflicts, and this has happened so much, this was in your answers. A lot of this comes from your answers to the feedback and has been on the podcast that I do. Like people say, I dream of owning a business, but then they will literally say to me, but I can't do it because I'm not a business person. Can you see how the incongruence appears And that's why they're then stuck in purgatory in the middle. Like they're trapped. We have a person that says to us, I really want to be healthy, but like I am a fat person. That their identity. I used to have this identity when I was younger because the kids told me that and I believed them. But their identity is that, and they're trapped, they're stuck. It's so painful.
Or maybe the dream is to be wealthy, to be financially independent, but you believe you're bad with money.
I am bad with money. Can you see how this sets up conflict and sets up like misalignment? Like following the behavior to sort your money out is not actually that difficult, but like lining these two up that's the biggest challenge. And what a lot of people think is, well, I'm not a business person. I'm not good with money. Well, I might as well give up then. That's my identity. Should we just give up if we don't believe we're these things? Darren's looking at me very confused. He's like, what do you mean give up, Alan? Like, yeah, give up. Like, you can't change your identity, can you? Because people believe their identity is set in stone. Like it's stone. I am this. And my value is to stay in alignment with my identity. That's who I am. And then they trap themselves forever in an identity that is set in stone. And I find that fascinating. They end up stuck in this purgatory state because they want the thing, but their identity says the opposite. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Yeah.
I just want to pick up what Portia said in the chat. I really like what her post is. What if it's like, I dream of having a business. I know I'm capable of it, but I am scared. And me too, Portia. Like I'm scared most days of the week, but that hasn't stopped me building the business. You know, like it's that thing of I can still take action even though I'm scared. And when you're feeling scared, it's just letting you know one thing. You're thinking scary thoughts. Maybe if you change the thoughts, or maybe just recognize that they are thoughts. You don't even need to change them. It's not real. It's just a story that you're telling yourself right now. And I love what Anita said. Do it anyway. Yeah, just do it anyway. Be scared and do it anyway.
I love that. Barbara says, how can we change our identity? We're coming on to that. But you can choose your identity. You can choose who you are. You can choose like who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world. We're going to come on to how to do that through this section. But you need to choose who you are, how you want to be. It's all made up anyway. So why not make up a version that you actually like of yourself? That's the bit I've eventually got to, is I can decide who I want to be. I want to be this type of person that makes things happen. I want to be strong. I want to be like passionate. That's who I am. That's how I want to show up in the world. And you will all have your own versions of that. We're going to move on to the second level because this will all tie up to the identity piece. It'll all come back to how do we change this. The second level is values. And we had it was actually one of my favorite comments you wrote in your pre-course survey. And values are part of who you are. And it's part of the misalignment piece as well. Because you might have your goal in alignment, you might have your identity in alignment, but then you don't value it. Or your values misalign, and then you really struggle. It's another way you get stuck in purgatory. And the example I found in your comments was, I want to be healthier, but convenience food is so convenient. Have you ever caught yourself saying something like this? Like, I want to be healthy, but... And it's
I think that's why it's called convenient food, isn't it?
Please in the title.
It's fascinating. Convenience food doesn't have to be unhealthy. There are convenient salad boxes, but it's really interesting. Like, what are you actually optimizing for? What is your value? Are you optimizing for convenience or health? I don't mind which. Choose and then let yourself out of purgatory. If you are optimizing for convenience, then own it and be happy with it and own the results that come from it. If you're optimizing for health, great. Own it and then own the results that come from it. That's the key piece here, is like, what are you actually optimizing for? So this is a strong check, like goals, identity, values. Is it lining up? Because when we get to behaviors, it'll actually really help.
Ali said, what if your values clash?
then we need to look at that prioritizing exercise. What's the most important thing to you? Because quite often you can have like your top few values, but you can't have them all at the same time. That's life. You have to make a choice. So you can have health, but maybe you have to give up something else to have it. You can have finances, but maybe you have to give up something else to have it. And you can get a good version of all of it. Don't get me wrong. It's not binary. You can't have health or whatever. But like there is a state of like, what is most important to you? Convenience or health? Choose. Yeah. Neft is looking at me going health as he's thinking of tacos we're going for later. But this is how people get stuck in purgatory, is these different elements. And we want to get you unlocked from this. Someone wrote in the text, tofu tacos. That is a genius idea. I love it.
I had a tofu burrito the other day and Alan added bacon to it.
I ordered the vegan burrito with extra bacon. They were very confused in the vegan restaurant, but we'll move on. Quickly, Katie, what are we doing? Beliefs.
Yes.
This is probably the biggest section here. Beliefs and identity kind of tie up, but it's like, we'll see what they are. Like the beliefs are the stories that we tell ourselves that either empower us or disempower us. And I don't remember if you remember from week 1, we had the guy that was saying like, it's impossible to lose weight. That's a story, isn't it? That's a belief. It is impossible to lose weight. And that was the story he was telling himself and still does. And when we chatted to him on the phone, he's like, no one has ever sustainably lost weight. And then he then came on to sort of telling us, like, I've looked up everyone who's been on the TV show, The Biggest Loser. They've always put on the weight again. And he's looking for proof to back up his belief. And it was really interesting. His belief was affecting his health so strongly. Like being overweight, he was seriously overweight. It was affecting his health so strongly, like he was on the route to early death. But he would rather die than change his beliefs. Isn't that interesting? His belief is it's impossible to lose weight. I know it's not. Like I've lost weight. I was fatter than this before, and now I am not fatter. Who knows? I might bounce back, but like at the moment, I'm aiming to be healthy. And I find this fascinating. Beliefs are what wars are fought over. Beliefs are what cause arguments between friends. Beliefs are unbelievably powerful. And yet we just spout them all day long and let them control us. So are you choosing your stories or beliefs over your dreams? And it's really interesting. Like, what are you choosing? Your story or your belief or your dream? Because you can hold on to that belief that's trapping you, or you can let go and start to make progress. And I found this fascinating. This blew my mind as I was reading your answers. These two beliefs were next to each other in your what's stopping you. And you can't make this stuff up. What was the first one, Katie?
Nothing will stop me. I think almost all dreams are achievable.
And then the very next line from the next person said,
I don't believe my dreams are possible.
That's two different stories, isn't it?
Which one's true? Can one person achieve their dreams and the other one can't? Like, which one is true and which one, adopting which belief would help you to get there?
Isn't it fascinating? The dreams, the stories we tell each other that trap us or not. And maybe this person's dreams aren't possible. I don't know. Maybe they are possible. It depends. One person's saying nothing will stop me. I think all dreams are achievable. And the next person saying dreams aren't believable. Which one's true? The answer is both. Because it's true if you believe it. It's true for you. And that's what traps us. Simon, you look like you're going to say something.
Oh, I was just amused that Cara and Ellie and Christina wrote the same thing almost exactly the same time, because this stuff is really, it's all made up, isn't it? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I love it because it's like it's kind of a paradox. That the thing that sets us apart as human beings is we've got the ability to create anything. But like in those Marvel movies you keep watching, the superpowers are also our biggest Achilles heel as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a belief is a story you tell yourself. It's something you tell yourself. Or another way of putting it is the belief is an idea that you hold true or as a fact. Like it's true for you. So the person who says, I don't believe my dreams are possible, that's a belief that is true for them. And the other person believes that all dreams are achievable. That is true for them. So your belief is what's true for you. And you get to decide what they are. And just to give you an idea, like a belief, this like visualization of it is a belief is like a table. So tabletop is the belief and the legs are the proof. And the more proof you have, people do this. Like our friend earlier who was saying it's impossible to lose weight, went out and found like proof that it was true. And if a table has one leg, it's really unbalanced. It's not a very strong belief. You can break it easily. If a table has lots of legs, it's sturdy and it's strong and you can't break it. So like if we took I'm bad with money, people look for proof that they're bad with money. It's like my parents said I'm bad with money. They were bad with money too. This means I'm bad with money. I don't have enough money. Money is evil. My parents say I'm bad with money. I don't know how to budget. And you look for proof that your belief is real. And the more proof you get, the stronger the belief is. Cassandra says that's confirmation bias. That's absolutely it. Everyone goes on the internet and goes like, tell me my ideas are real. And then they go, oh, that article says I'm wrong. I won't read that one. I'll read the one that backs up what I'm saying, because they want to believe it. And our friend from earlier, impossible to lose weight, went online to find the proof that I am right. It is impossible to lose weight, rather than change the belief. They didn't want to change. They didn't actually want to be healthy. They set the goal of being healthy, but they don't actually want to be healthy. They value being right more than being healthy.
So here's how to choose a more empowering belief. If we take, again, the idea of the table, why not take like the exact opposite? We looked at before when we said which one is true. Dreams are possible, dreams are impossible. Let's take the exact opposite of I'm bad with money. So I'm great with money. And then the idea is to build the legs to support that belief. So maybe you have, I've made a plan, I attended Rebel Finance School, I save every month, I budget and I track, and I have the behaviors that back up this belief that I want to adopt.
And you can just build the belief. That's what a belief is. That's what an identity is. It's backed up with action. I believe I'm healthy, and the action I'm going to back up with it is going to the gym every day, or going for a walk every day, or having a smoothie for breakfast every day. And I'm proving to myself that I am healthy. And gradually you build that identity and that belief until you hold it strong, because you can choose whatever story you want. You can choose disempowering ones, or you can choose empowering ones. It's up to you. Which one do you want to have? And the way we do this is to choose the belief and then build the legs. That's the piece. So you choose the belief, whatever it is. I'm good with money, like I'm a business person. And then you build the legs. You start to prove it. I'm a business person. I've read a business book. I had a business meeting. I made a business phone call. I did these things that proves I am that, and I'm starting to get it. So you build the legs. And if we took the bit, like these are real ones from your feedback forms, your pre-course forms. This person said, I'm not business-minded whatsoever. And I just wanted to say, do you think I was born with a business brain? Do any of you think I was born with a business brain? Did I pop out of the womb going money, money, money? Like,
I did used to think that, Alan. That used to be my belief, because I used to tell myself the story that you're a natural born entrepreneur, whereas I'm not. I didn't start making business stuff happen until I was about 30. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, that's just a story, because Alan definitely wasn't saying, would you like to buy the things that I'm selling, when he was able to first talk. You know what I mean? And it's fascinating how they started to pop for me, those stories.
Yes, and I'm not a born business person. I learned how to do it. I read every book. I did every mistake. I learned how not to do it. And then I realized I can do it, because I start to not make mistakes. I start to get on the other side. And it's the story. Maybe we could change the story to a question. How do I develop a business mindset? So instead of repeating, I don't have a business mindset, start to ask, how do I develop a business mindset? And it's changing these stories to questions or reframing them so we can make progress. This is another one that came in through the pre-course work. The biggest thing stopping me is I have left it too late in life. Do you know what question I wanted to ask them? Like, are you dead yet? If not, there's probably time to do something about it. Like, if you're 60 and your goal was to retire at 40, like, that ship has sailed. But that doesn't mean you can't sort your finances out, create an epically cool life, do cool things, hang out with people. Like, there's people on this call. You're still breathing. You're here. There is time to do something. It's never too late to do something. So make the phone call, do the thing, make the dream come true. Like, yes, it's too late to retire last year, but it's not too late to fix this thing and make progress. But it's a story, and it's really interesting. This is the thing that I think my biggest learning over the last 3 years. The fear you have creates the very thing you're afraid of. The fear you have creates the very thing you're afraid of. I.e., you're afraid it's too late for you, so you don't do anything. And that then creates the fact that it is too late for you. You're afraid. Go on.
I've got another example. Sometimes I'm a bit nervous of saying things to Alan because I'm worried it's going to make him angry and cause a fight.
Scary.
He's quite scary sometimes. So I'm like, oh, I better not say that. That's going to cause a fight. So instead of saying something and speaking up, I don't say anything and I do weird stuff to try and like get Alan to guess what I'm thinking, or he'll do something and be like, oh, that's not what I wanted. So it will end up in a fight anyway because I was scared and I didn't want to speak up, and it creates what I don't want.
Whereas when Katie does just speak up and tell me, oh, I don't want to do that, I go, okay, why not? Or we talk about it and it's fine. But it's fascinating. We create the things we are afraid of through our actions. I
think I know why. I had an insight recently that pointed to the fact that it's the fear that we won't be able to handle the thing that we're scared of if it was to happen. So someone that says, I'm scared of launching my business because they're really thinking I won't be able to handle it if it doesn't go how I want it to go. I was looking at a couple of the comments about business earlier. Natalie Jane, brilliant comment about what her friends have told her. Her friends are actually reinforcing a belief that she may well be naturally business minded, but that's having the opposite effect. That's scaring her, which is super interesting. Now, the message from me is I cannot guarantee that the thing that you're aiming for is going to work for you. I cannot guarantee that your business will go right. In fact, there's a real chance that it will go wrong. But what I do know is if that happens, you'll know what to do when you get there. It's worrying about it before you get there is impossible to deal with because it's made up. It's not real yet. But when you actually get there and something happens that you weren't expecting, something happens that is the opposite of the results that you wanted, because now you've arrived there, you'll know what to do. It's what we're built for. That analogy about sailing boats aren't meant to bob around the harbour, that they've got a giant sail on them for a reason. And, we can handle it when we get there, whatever it is. We're at the tip, even you, Alan, we're at the tip of the evolutionary arrow. We're built to survive. We can survive wars. Our ancestors' survived wars, disease, pandemics so far. We're doing all right. And actually, whatever comes up for us, we can handle it. Whatever happens.
Amelia on YouTube said something interesting. Oh, Katie, same. I need to stop letting the fear of conflict stopping me from allowing confrontation in my relationships. And I think changing the word confrontation to a discussion will help, but you need to speak up and talk about it. And that actually avoids the confrontation. Running away from the confrontation quite often creates it. And there's so many beliefs that come through. Another one from the pre-course survey, nothing will stop me because I have every intention of turning all my dreams into reality. That's quite a story, isn't it?
I like that one.
I love that story. I might borrow that story. Nothing's going to stop me. So what we want to do, this is the exercise for this, is called reframing your stories or your beliefs. And we've got 3 ways for you to do it. So the 3 ways to do it is, number 1, add yet to the end of it. I'm not business minded yet. That kind of opens it up to maybe you could be. Number 2, turn it into a question. I'm not business-minded. How might I become business-minded? Turn it into a question. It enables possibility. It moves on. And then the final one, say, well, that's the reason I should do it. I'm not business-minded. So maybe that's the reason I should do it, because I can bring a beginner's perspective, because I can learn, because I can grow, because I can help bring a different angle. So you've got 3 simple ways to reframe any story or belief that's trapping you from what you're doing. Sandy says, why do you have to be business-minded to be successful? You don't, Sandy. It's okay.
I think it's suggesting that as a question.
Oh, it's a question. I love that. You don't have to be. Like, plenty of people are successful, and like, I don't even know what business-minded means, but it traps a lot of people.
Maybe it's like you feel like waking up and putting a suit on. Maybe that's what business-minded means.
I've never, like, used to wear a suit.
Suited.
Yeah, business suited. Yeah, Sandy's like, that's a story too. Exactly. It's really interesting. So what I want you to do is in the chat, have a go at reframing these. Live audience, you can shout them out if you want to. This is one of them. I'm scared, change is hard. It's one of the story. That's one of the barriers stopping someone on this course from making progress. How do you reframe I'm scared, change is hard?
Change equals growth, says Leo. Change is hard, but it will make me stronger.
Ooh.
Change is hard, and that's why I must do it.
I love that.
Change is a challenge I'm ready for. How might I make change fun?
Yeah, Tracy, that was the line I was going through. How might change be the most epically fun thing I can do this week? That was the question I was thinking. I'm not very brave yet, says Sarah. I love that.
Not changing is even harder, says Ali.
Genius Ali Lockie. Yeah, the hardest thing is not changing, because that's the pain we're in right now.
Change is adventure.
Ooh, how might I make myself less scared? I think I'd probably change that one to how might I feel more confident? Deandra's questioning it. Love it. She's questioning the belief. Why is change hard? So she's chopping away at the legs of the belief. Doesn't have to be. Comfort is easy, but it comes as a cost. Oh, Amy says change is freedom. Now we've got alternate beliefs that are coming through. But do you see how we can like take a belief, chop at the legs, change it, start to install a new belief? And maybe we can change very slightly and practice that change and go, oh, it wasn't too bad. Change was adequately comfortable. And we'll start with that belief.
Change is just change. And how we think about it is just a story anyway. Speaking of change, can we change the picture? Because that cling film guy is making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm telling myself a story about that.
Okay, next one. How do we reframe this one? This is one that came from the comments. Fear of spending money on my dreams, of not having the perfect plan. So maybe it's more of a perfection paralysis. I'm afraid to go after my dreams because not everything is perfect in my life right now. How do we reframe that? I'm afraid to go after my dreams because not everything is perfect in my life right now. Taz, go on.
Perfection doesn't exist, says Taz. What's version of my dream? Come at me, bro.
I love that. What's version 1 of my dream? Life isn't meant to be perfect, says Anita. Don't wait.
Not everything's perfect right now, but I can still move forward anyway.
I would have... not everything is perfect in my life right now because I haven't started. That's how I'd reframe it.
I love my messy, complicated life and I'm excited to dive into it. 1% better is better.
Jill says done is better than perfect, which really makes me happy. I don't know who said that.
Was it you?
Probably.
Perfection is overrated.
All dreams start with one step.
All dreams start with one step, comes in Finn at the end and drops the mic. I love it. All dreams start with one step. Okay, so like what we're really trying to say to you is be careful which beliefs you choose, because belief A will trap you and belief B will empower you. You get to choose which one you go. So the question is, like, what beliefs do you want to have? Maybe there's someone who already lives the life you want to live and you can borrow their beliefs. Maybe there's beliefs that you read in like a course or a success thing or whoever knows what it is. But what beliefs could you borrow and test and try out? Like, try out some new beliefs for the week. Let's do a mini belief experiment and test out. This week, I'm going to believe I'm a banana. I'm not going to believe I'm a banana. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. It was the first thing that came to mind. We're going to move on quickly.
Should we peel back the layers to find out?
That's an onion.
If you feel like you don't know person in your personal life that is living the life you want to live, spend time with them in a different way, like someone that you don't know, but maybe they've written a book, or they have a podcast, or they've written a book. I said that already, but you can just absorb their beliefs by spending time with them virtually. Like, if you feel like you don't know anyone in your physical life.
That's what I did. Most of the beliefs I have been borrowed from books. Like, I read success books, got to know the person. It's like, oh, that's interesting. They believe they can learn anything. I might try that belief, and I try it out for a week and learn some new stuff, try it. And then I'm like, oh, that works. I'll keep that belief. And there's other beliefs I've gone, I'm letting go of the belief I'm shy. That doesn't help me. That did not help me get a lovely girlfriend. I need to let go of that belief. It's useless. Just to give you a couple of ideas of some of our ones, like, I have a belief that I can learn anything. It's a useful belief. If something goes wrong, I'll learn it. Or, given time, I can figure out a solution. Because I can't always do it straight away, but give me time, I'll fix it. If I don't know the answer, I'm sure I can find someone with the answer. That's a belief I have. Then you go, okay, I believe I can find someone with the answer. This is a challenging one. I believe I create my body. And this might not be true, but it's a useful belief that empowers me to do what I can within my power to work on my physique, to work on my energy and my health. I'm responsible for my life. I believe I'm responsible. I'm responsible for the mess I make. I'm responsible for the good things, the bad things. One of my favorite beliefs, the extraordinary belongs to those that create it. So I'm going to create it. That's a belief. It's a belief that happens. I believe people are kind and generous. And many of you on this call have shown me you are kind and generous. And I believe that. Now, is this all true? No. Some of these beliefs aren't true, but they're useful and enable me to move in the world and enable me to operate. So I don't really care if beliefs are true or not. I care, does it help me or does it stop me? Is this kind of making sense to everyone here? Tony's nodding roughly. I like this.
Anne's nodding.
Anne's nodding. Excellent.
Good work, Anne.
My crochet chums is chewing on her pencil. We can't tell whether she's agreeing or not, but we'll leave her there. Oh, she's nodding. Perfect.
The jury's out.
Okay.
Yes,
so your identity is a set of beliefs that you hold about yourself. So you can develop a new identity by coming up with new beliefs and then building the legs. That's how you do it. And confidence is a set of beliefs about yourself. It's a belief that you can learn anything, that you're a positive person, that you'll figure out a way, that you'll make things happen, that you're resourceful, that you can overcome things. It's a set of beliefs that make up confidence. Like, if you believe you'll always find a solution, you'll go into it having a go. If you believe, like, I'm a shy person, you'll look for that stuff. And it's really interesting how this works. Erin says, I believe I need to go and pick up the kids from school. That's probably more likely a fact.
Yeah, we've
don't leave the kids at
we've
school.
Run over a little bit. As always, if you need to rush off, you can catch up on YouTube afterwards.
Yes, Erin says, thanks for continuing to challenge us all. You can catch up on YouTube. Thank you, Erin. Go rescue your kids. We're going to move on quickly to skills. Skills is just like the things you learn. It's the things you learn. I learned the skill to do a YouTube live to put our courses on. It's a skill. I believe I can learn anything. I believe you can learn anything. So you can learn the skills to do this stuff if you want to. Behaviors, like I put a picture of someone eating a cake. Like, the behaviors is actually one of the most easy bits if you have the identity, the values, the beliefs lined up. If you don't, you'll end up eating the cake every day and you won't get to your goal. But the beliefs become the easy bit. Like, if you believe in your soul that you are an athlete, that you're healthy, that you value health, you'll enjoy working out and you'll go and do it. There's an easy behavior. If you believe you're good with money, and you value finances, and you believe that money is a tool for good, and you have these beliefs that help you, the behavior of saving money and investing money is really easy. Does this make sense to you? Like, the behavior is the easy bit at the end, but it's not. Everyone tries to create change at the behavior level without working on identity, beliefs, skills. They don't work on any of that, and then you just try and change their behavior and wonder why it fails. It fails because, like, all the other stuff isn't lined up. Don't change behavior, change identity and beliefs and values, and the behaviors will follow. Final piece is environment. This is one that affects Kate and I. There's a picture of a cafe there. Like, if we go out to work together and it's a loud cafe, people are shouting, there's kids screaming behind me, like the Wi-Fi is bad. Like, it doesn't matter how good my identity is that we work well together. It doesn't matter how good my value is that I value time with Katie and working together. The environment kills it, absolutely kills it. So just, like, be wary of environment. Like, if you're trying to be healthy and your kitchen cupboards are filled with snacks, your environment is not set up to get to your goal. Really interesting how this fits together. So this is the incongruence piece, and we're heading towards the end of the course where we're going to set your homework. But these are sort of the incongruence piece. This is the bit. An example of, like, alignment, just to give you a good example, because we've given you lots of bad examples. Good example, I dream of building a business. Identity, I can learn anything. I'm good at that given time. I'm pretty good at making friends. I'm excited about doing this. Values, I value money. I value my career. It's important to me. My beliefs, this is possible. I believe this is possible for me. I believe sales is a good thing. I believe capitalism can be a force for good. I genuinely believe capitalism can be a force for good. It's what I've been trying to prove, that we've used capitalism to make money and we do good with it. I'm learning sales and marketing. I have a daily focus on key tasks and sales activities, and my environment, distractions removed, desk set up, family supportive of giving me time to build my business. Like, there's alignment. It makes life so much easier to get on with stuff, so much easier. And we just need to work on finding alignment to get out of purgatory. Simon, why do we have this picture here on the get out of purgatory slide?
Because it's a good picture, Alan. It's because the bird ate Arnold's bird food, which is a metaphor for your alignment section this evening, Alan. And when the bird ate the bird food, it was able to break out of its cage, Alan. That's why I like this picture. Been trying to use that picture for 3 weeks.
Yes, finally made it.
To you. Do you finally get it?
I get the picture. It's just never fitted. Now everyone gets it. I love it. So we need to get you out of purgatory. Cassandra in the chat says, "Most random image ever."
Shut up, Cassandra.
I love it. Cassandra, we love you. Stay. It's okay.
So how do people do this? How do you go about finding alignment? So this is going to be part of the homework, is to do this exercise to align yourself on all these different levels that we've been talking about. So to do that, pick a priority area of life. Maybe it's health, maybe it's family, maybe it's relationships, whatever it is,
finance, who knows,
whatever it is for you. And then go through the levels one by one. Okay, in the area of health, what's my goal in this area? What do I believe about myself? What's my identity? And so on. Go through the different levels and jot down what comes to mind as you go through each area. And it might not come to start with, and we've got some clues as to how you might uncover what's going on. And then ask yourself, is this how I want to show up in the world?
It's really interesting, because if we can uncover your incongruence and start to change it, we will unlock your progress, and doing the behaviors will be easy. That's the easy bit.
So how do you uncover this stuff, Simon?
Well, actually, you need a chamois and some dry white stuff. And I don't know, Katie, how do you uncover these things?
Well, one thing you can do is ask people, what do you say in that area? So, for example, like in the area of health, ask your friends, like, what do I say about my body, about my wellness, about my health? Ask them. And it will reveal the things that you believe and the behaviors that you have.
Exactly.
And have a conversation with someone as part of that. Say to them, what do you think about health? And like, it'll start to come out.
And talk about your goals, what you're doing, and notice the stories you tell, because those are the stories that either empower you or trap you. And the third one is noticing what you say to yourself. Like, as you go through the day, what do you say about the food you're eating, the work you're doing, the whatever it is? Like, let's notice the stories that we tell ourselves.
And ask yourself, what's stopping me? What's stopping me in this area? What are the barriers? What is stopping me?
And then finally, just journal for 5 minutes each morning for a week about that area of life. And write, what do I believe? Who am I? Ask yourself questions about it to uncover those bits. So pick the area of life you're struggling with the most. And then that's the homework, is the alignment exercise. And just to make it really simple, we've sort of written the homework out on this page to make it easy.
So the first thing, reframe your stories. And we gave you the 3 different ways you can do that, which is yet, adding the word yet to the end, turning it into a question and saying, this is why I must do it. So as you've been going through the past couple of weeks, we've asked you to jot down your stories. So now is the time to go through them and to use these frames to see what changing them does for the outcomes that you want.
Secondly, it's to do the alignment exercise for one of your areas of life. Whichever one is going, I need to do it for this. And you probably, do you know your one, Neft?
Couple.
He has a couple. Neft has a couple. He's greedy. He's going to do 2. I love it.
Overachiever.
And then the third one, just share a little bit of this. Like, some of this is very personal stuff, but it helps other people to know they're not alone and not going through it alone. So if you can find the courage to share a bit about the beliefs or the identity or what you're working on or what you're planning to change, like, share it in the Facebook group, share it with a friend, share it with the person next to you if you like them. If you don't, share it with someone else, that's fine. Those are the bits. Dan and Anita are looking at each other going, do I'm going to share with each other? We don't know yet. Extra points if you're sharing for PowerPoints, visual sharing, because visual makes it come to life. Sharing your identity in pictures, it makes it come to life.
Or put a little video in the group telling us what you've discovered.
Exactly. And then the final bit, optional exercise, do the fear setting exercise from the start. We will obviously put this all in the email tomorrow and the links as well. Whew, that was one heck of a week, Simon.
Yeah, it was. And I know that some people are going, oh my God, there's so much here. We've packed lots of content in again. Like, remember, this is week 3 of a 5-week course. So there's still a couple of pieces of the jigsaw left to share with you. We've got the Facebook group to support. Be kind to yourselves. You don't have to do it all. And remember that at the end of each of the sessions, if anyone cares to stay past 10 o'clock this evening UK time, then we would love to stay on and answer any questions that you have. We'll do our very best to help you. And next week, well, we'll talk about next week in a second. What's coming up next time?
So report back on your progress. This is the link to the Facebook group. So feel free to scan that. What's happening next? The email and course notes tomorrow?
Yes, it will probably be evening UK time by the time we get to it. But it will be coming out tomorrow. So look out for that. Join the Facebook group. And then next week, we're talking about true self-care, what that actually means, how you can look after yourself to have the energy that you need to make your life the way you want it.
Exactly. If you're on YouTube, please give us a like and a comment and all that stuff and subscribe. It makes me feel very happy when we get likes. You know, I'm a simple person. Doesn't take much.
You are quite simple.
The resources page, this is the link, alandonegan.com/extra resources, has every link to the YouTube, every piece of homework, everything we create. We put it all on there. So if you ever go, where's the Zoom link? It's in that page.
We also write notes. So it's not just the homework, but we've got the key areas and the key principles that we want to share with you.
If you aren't getting the emails yet, sign up to the course. Then you'll get the emails. There's the link to that. And the final closing message for today is, are you willing to pay the price? There is a price for the life you want to lead. And the price doesn't mean it's a cash price. It's not a $5 price, Finn. The price might be time. The price might be energy. The price might be letting go of your ego. to be able to get to what you want to get to, but there is a price to get to the life you want. Are you willing to pay the price to have the life you want to? And sometimes the answer is no, the price is too much. I remember a long time ago, I was learning stand-up comedy, and I had this idea of being a stand-up comedian. That was my idea. And I went to a course, I learned about stand-up comedy. The price to be a stand-up comedian is practicing your art every day. And at the time, I lived an hour and a half from London. So every day I would have to take a train an hour and a half to London to do a 5-minute set on a stage in London and then come back. And the price was giving up my evenings, which I spent with Katie, because she worked during the day. And I was unwilling to pay the price of losing my time with Katie for the dream of being a stand-up comedian. So I let go of that dream and created a new dream, because there are so many things I could be. And yeah, Tracy's saying, is it binary? No, it's not. I could still do it if I wanted to. At the moment, I've got other missions, like I'm on a mission to help people, not make them laugh. Hopefully I do them together sometimes. But what's the price of your dream, and are you willing to pay it? Because you can have anything you want in life if you're willing to pay the price up front and in full. So if you want to pay the price of like doing the exercise, eating the healthy food, which like it's not a price. Some healthy food can be really tasty. If you're willing to pay the price, I believe you can do it. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of week 3. It's been a journey. You are all wonderful. We are going to hang out and answer your questions. Have a wonderful week, and we shall see you all soon. And those of you on YouTube, you're welcome to come over to Zoom if you want to ask questions, or you can stay on YouTube, because we'll leave the questions up this time so that everyone can have them. So that's the plan. Thank you for coming, everyone. You are wonderful. The end. That's it.
I like that you actually had a slide for the end.
Applause.
Do you need a slide for applause as well?
A slide for applause. Yeah, we need just one that says applause. Anita and Dan are clapping, which I love. I saw you there.
Anita and Sally May are with their emoji clap, which is just as important as the yes. Good job. Thank you, Gabby.
What a week. Heck of a week. It was kind of an emotional, deep week this week. I'm just going to sit here for a second. If you've got a question, put your hand up.
Using the reactions on Zoom.
Yeah, so you can choose the reactions and do that. Leo has the first question in the chat, which is, what are your views on accountability partners? I think I need one. My main view is people will always do more for other people than they will for themselves. And it's really weird, but like, if I have to look after Finn, I'll do it. If I have to look after myself, I'll put it off. So get someone else to help you. Having an accountability partner is a wonderful way to do it. And there's many ways to do it. There's the website Stick, where you can like gamble your money on an anti-charity. If you don't do it, you can get an accountability partner. You can share your goals in the Facebook group and say to people, poke me if I don't do them. But people will always do more for other people than they will for themselves. It's just human nature. So we need to leverage that, use it, and understand it. So it's the first person with a question. Is that Paul Anthony Dehan?
I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Can I just say one thing to intro the Q&A section? I have a feeling this is going to be a great section of the course, but so we can get to everyone with equal time. If you lead with your question and allow Katie, Alan, or Simon to then ask questions in around context, then we can really help everyone equally throughout the Q&A session.
Awesome. And Anita is in charge of questions so that we can focus on answering them. Anita, thank you for helping us.
No problem. Take it away, Paul. I just wanted to say that.
I love that. We have to ask him to unmute.
Thank you.
Hello, guys. How are we?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm brilliant, thank you. Really, really good week. Fabulous, as always. My question is, quickly, I'll get to the point. I've kind of mentioned it in the Facebook group. I'd like to have this successful cookery school / business. And I think I have two beliefs, things that are holding me back. One is, and I think you kind of said it, the price might be to let go of your ego. That resonated when you said that. Obviously, my reputation as a chef and all that, I want to start from the top, where I might have to work my way up again. And then the other belief is, if I start a business, and especially catering, it's very unsociable hours, like weekends and nights. And one of my beliefs, or one of my values, is to spend as much time with my family and my son. So it's kind of contradictory.
Yeah.
So
wonderful spotting that.
Yeah. So I've kind of got two. I've got the ego, and I've got my value of my son and family, what's kind of holding me back from going full throttle with a business that I want to create. So I don't know what my question is, but I thought I'd just point that out.
Yeah, no, I think on the ego one, Paul, the story that you're telling, what I heard was that you'd climbed up something and then that you would have to go up again. So you're assuming that you've actually fallen down again.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm pretty sure the galley is like lower deck, not at the top of the mast. So you weren't climbing anywhere when you were doing your thing. Yes. And I think, yes, you've had some amazing experiences. And I know from the conversations we've had that you've cooked for some of the most famous people in the world, which is incredible. You haven't lost any of that, was what came to me. Like that's still in the locker. That's like an enabler for you to choose your own hours, an enabler for you to promote yourself. As there aren't many people that can go, yeah, I've cooked for Ronaldo. Like, I don't know many people that can say that. And that to me means it's almost like an empowering life experience to create the business that you want, not the business that you think you should run. It's the one that you really want. And It's like you've got, for me, like full permission, my friend. Your CV is ridiculous when it comes to cooking. You can do what the hell you want. You just got to back yourself.
Yeah. I think it is. It's like I already want the successful cafe cookery school already there, running, operating, so that I've got an amazing team running it, and I can still have my time with my family.
We best get on with it then.
That I'm going to throw myself into something, and which I'm more than capable of doing. I know that, but it's going to eat all my time with my family, and I kind of want to build it up so it's successful, but not eat the time with my family up.
So I think this is a story you're telling yourself, that it's a binary decision between time with family or catering business.
Yeah.
And what I would be doing is turning that story into a question. And there's some great questions and comments in the chat if you want to have a look later. For me, the question is, how might I create my dream culinary school and still have time with my kids? Or how might I get my business? Or it's even like, the price might be, how might I work hard for a year so I don't have to work as hard for the next 5 years? I don't know, there's a question. You've got to take those stories we're telling ourselves of what is and isn't possible, turn it into a question, and then find answers. And maybe you need to find a partner. Maybe you start it in a different way. Maybe you do X or Y. Or maybe you go, I don't want to start a culinary school for the next 5 years whilst he's young. I'll start it when I'm 43 or whatever age you'll be in 5 years' time. But like, we just need to turn it into a question and unlock it. And that's what I say to so many people is like, let's stop spinning the stories of what's possible and what's not. And you probably have a good idea of what's possible or not, but sometimes we're trapped by our previous experiences from seeing a different route. So ask the question, forget everything you learnt, get people who don't know your industry to give you ideas and help. And then let's find a creative way for you to get what you want, which is time with your family and teaching.
Yeah.
I love that. The word school, just my final thought, the word school is kind of what we went through with the Rebel School in the early days of, what a business school means is it means a building where people can go and learn about business. That's what a business school is, right? Until we went, well, we don't really want a building because we don't want to spend £250,000 and get ourselves in debt. So let's just pop up. And then the pop-up business school was that working name that we had for a few years, and we returned to Rebel School, as you know. But the thing about it is cooking school could mean a book. It could mean a digital product. It could mean a pop-up thing. It could be a daytime thing, nighttime thing. It could be a thing that you empower other people to deliver. There's so many different ways of cutting it. And you kept saying about it eating up into your time. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if you realized that you were saying that, but there were lots of food related metaphors that came out. But I think, I think Alan's advice is spot on about reframing the question. There's a way through this, my friend, and it ain't binary, and we can figure it out together. Love it.
Right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for your question,
Do read the
Paul.
questions. Like SP has made a great question. Kara's made great questions. Do read the questions in the comments, wherever they are on your screen. I don't know, but read them. There's some really good questions for you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all for your comments as well. Thank you.
Love you, Paul.
Yeah,
Bye. Anita, who's next?
Scarlett Hopkins.
Scarlett Hopkins, the fabulous Scarlett Hopkins. Are you there? Hello.
Hello. Hello. Good to meet you all. So I've been trying to summarize as best as I can because I didn't expect myself to be asking a question. And I just plunged myself into it. So I've been trying to figure out what the question really is because there's so much coming through. And essentially, it's kind of creepy that you guys chose alignment because I've literally been getting from the universe alignment for I need to align my, beliefs, identity, everything from everywhere. So the fact that you guys chose this again.
We knew that, Scarlett. We knew. We
already
knew.
You knew.
Yeah, we knew.
It's the Truman Show all over again. So I've been really focusing on kind of trying to figure out what the alignment is that I'm trying to kind of get, because I've noticed when I see things really working out, I panic. So I almost had my first long-term client. So I do confidence coaching, and I had almost my first long-term client for 6 months, and I was over the moon, and I didn't know how to react. I was oh my God, this is amazing. I've only had short-term things. So I was this is it. And I was so nervous. I was panicking. And I remember walking up and down the stairs all over the house. And then I've noticed this pattern over and over again in other things in my life. This happens. It's almost there's a part of me that doesn't want it. And I can't figure out why, because there's also a huge part of me that desires this with all my heart. And I've written down a lot of stuff here, and I think maybe it's because I want peace in my life now, and obviously that's not gonna give me peace. So yeah,
Obviously that's not going to give me peace, helping other people to be confident. That doesn't seem obvious to me.
Okay, I'll explain. It's because I feel when I say peace, I mean more that takes a lot of my energy and my time and my focus, and I'll be focusing on them. So I won't really be having peace and time to focus on my own stuff. And I feel I've been doing this journey on focusing, growing my own self and training and all of this. It's almost the shift onto another person. It's I almost get scared that perhaps I'll lose myself, or I don't know. That doesn't even feel right saying that, to be honest. But yeah.
It sounds like you're making it binary. It's either I can look after myself or I can look after my client. Why does it have to be one or the other?
And just to build on that, what I have discovered is that helping people, quite often the advice we give is the advice we need to take. So I would suggest focus on helping the other person, listen to what you're saying, and then do that for yourself afterwards. Then you help both of you in one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I've noticed that too. I don't know what else to say.
Scarlett, it's really cool. It's such a common thing. And I never realized that until, a couple of years into Rebel School, that there's lots of people that are scared of getting too busy, getting so busy that they won't be able to handle it. I'll let you into a secret. Everyone's looking for peace. Everybody. We all are, but we're looking for it in different ways, but it all comes back to the same place. And what I've learned through Rebel School is the more successful you are, the better able you are to choose what you do with your time. And, you know, as the success comes, when you get to a point when you go, hey, I'm really busy now, I haven't got enough time to do the stuff that I want to do, then you'll have money in the bank to be able to make those choices. Whereas if you haven't got enough long-term clients in the first place, it's that sort of paradox where we have to keep working harder in order to get the cash. So there's something for me about when you get to the point of being super busy that might be impacting your peace, you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
I have one final thought, which is something you said, which I hear regularly, is a part of me wants X and another part of me wants Y. This might sound a bit woo-woo and weird, but just go with me. If you can, close your eyes, not right now, like later when it's quiet and we're not all staring at you on Zoom. And just visualize like the part of you on one hand and the part of you that wants it on one hand, the part of you that doesn't on the other hand, and ask them what they want. And when they say what they want, say, what does that give me? And what does that give me? And quite often they want the same thing, but at the level down here, they're like fighting. But a level up here, they go, okay, we just want peace. We want peace by helping other people. And we want this by not helping other people. And then you go, okay, how can we have both? And how can we come together and find alignment? So that would be the thing I would do. You can probably find a guided version of this somewhere, but there's like a parts integration to work out like what these two parts of you actually want and how we can get them to both get what they want and work together.
Thank you so much for the advice. All of it really resonated. So yeah,
cool.
Thank you.
Let us know what happens, Scarlett.
I will.
Yeah, please do. You're awesome. Thank you for coming, Scarlett.
You guys are all awesome too. Thank you so much.
Oh,
no, you rock, Scarlett. You rock.
Should we keep going? You guys rock too.
This is like a no, you hang up. No, you hang
no, you hang up. Yeah.
No, you
love
hang
you.
up.
No, I love you more. No, I love you more.
Now it's getting awkward.
You're in charge,
Thanks,
Anita.
Scarlett. Next, we have Michelle Stewart.
Michelle, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Michelle.
Sorry, I'll just put my video on. I was.
There you are.
Hi.
Hiya. So I've been doing the alignment thingy, and on my main goal is writing my novel, and I started in 2013, and I keep kind of getting to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I put it down and then I pick it back up again. Earlier this year, I made a commitment to myself that I would get it published on the 1st of December. And then I spent all summer just putting it in the corner and ignoring it. And it's, I know what it is that's stopping me. So I need to, because I work and I run a business and I've got my family, and I need to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I have enough time to spend an hour every day writing my novel, but I can't get up at 6 o'clock.
I know how that feels. I sympathize with that one. I don't like titles with 6 in it.
I've tried 5, I've tried 5:30, I've tried 6:30, I've tried 7.
What do you make of that, Michelle? What do you make of that?
Well, the thing is, like, the stories that you tell yourself, and when I'm lying in bed, it's like it's too warm, I'm comfortable, it's going to be cold if I get out of bed.
Oh,
do I really want to write a novel? I don't think I do.
yeah, that's what Tracy just said in the chat. Was, do you
Literally,
really want to write a novel?
There's definitely spooky things happening tonight. Cara's reading people's minds twice tonight that we know of. Michelle, the thought that struck me was What if it's your body looking after you?
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it?
Super busy.
I am really busy, and my husband keeps telling me, why do you keep doing more and more stuff?
What if you didn't?
What if I didn't write my novel?
Well, what if you didn't keep doing more and more stuff? Or what if the early alarm clock is just one way of doing it? What if there was another way that you know? I've got the words, Katie's words, which I've probably heard about 1,000 times a year for the last 10 years. And she's not frickin' binary. Like, she says a different word.
Yeah.
She's quite sweary when she gets passionate, you know, it's great. and setting an alarm. And I know it makes sense to you to try it that way around, but if you're running a business and you work and you've got a family, like, getting up at 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. doesn't massively excite me. I think my body might be saying the same things that your body's saying is, hey, it's okay to rest. And maybe you need to make some other changes or try something else in terms of the timing of writing first. If this ain't working for you, you know, it's okay for it not to work. It's okay to rest.
Which then I would build on what Simon says, which leads to the question, what are you willing to give up for the dream? Because, like, you do need that rest, and it sounds like you're not willing to give up mornings, and that's okay. That's a price you do not want to pay. But maybe there's a different price. Maybe there's a different thing. What are you willing to give up? Is it, I don't know what you do with your day, but let's make a list of what you do with your day and go, what do I want to give up? Do I want to give up this client? Do I want to give up dinner with my husband? I never really liked him anyway. Do I want to give up hugging the cat? I don't know. Like, what do I want to give up to do it? Don't give up your mornings. Give up something else.
But also, nothing is an acceptable answer to that question. What do I want to give up? If you look at what you're doing with your day and there's nothing that you want to give up, like, it's perfectly,
give up the book.
It's a perfectly acceptable answer to say, actually, this doesn't fit with my values and how I want to spend my time. Or park it and say, I'm not going to torture myself for a year. I'm going to, like, because you're currently in that purgatory state that Alan was saying about, and you're torturing yourself. It's like, oh, I want to write the book, but, like, I don't really want, like, give yourself the space and the time and the permission to say, actually, this isn't right now. I'll revisit it in a year, 2 years, whatever you choose.
Yes, I've done that as well, because I started in 2013. So there was a time I gave it up for 5 years, completely didn't even think about the novel at all. Well, that's a lie, actually, because it does torture me.
Yeah. Oh, that, by the way, Michelle, I know, I get it. And that's really tiring.
Yeah.
Thinking about something that you've got that you're not actually taking action on is really exhausting. Like, if you want to wear yourself out, lay in bed thinking about all the things that you're not doing that you should be doing. That'll finish you off. You know, like, maybe
you'll be
there's
tired the next morning.
Another way. You know, maybe there's another way.
If you were on your deathbed at 97 years old, surrounded by people you liked, and you hadn't written the book, like, would you care?
Well, I hope not.
But you do care.
Hopefully, but I'm determined that won't actually happen to me. That somebody will say to me on my deathbed when I'm 97, that novel you wrote was brilliant. I loved it. Thank you for writing it. You changed my life.
Then we need to, like, do all the things of, like, finding the why, going through the alignment exercise, finding the accountability someone. Please read the chat, because there are amazing comments from the other people on the call. And I think it was Kerry who said, I will ring you 6 a.m. every morning to say, are you writing your book? Like, people
my
care.
husband does that. Your alarm's going off. Get up.
If you actually do want to get up at 6, put your alarm the other side of the room or in a different room. You have to get up and
get out of bed to do it.
And then you won't get back in.
Yes.
If you actually want to. If you don't want to, then
the other really mean thing is, like, get your husband just to pull the sheets off. And then you won't be saying, what if it's cold in here? You will be cold and you will want to move.
Some days, like, I wonder why I'm friends with you.
Yeah.
I did a random thought for a second, like, why do you even have to get up?
Yeah. No, I have done. I did an Open University degree. It took me 6 years to do it, and I did used to write in bed. I would have my laptop, and I would write because there was a midnight deadline for the assignments.
Mm.
So you're there at 11:59.
There might be a clue in there.
Yeah, sounds like you need a deadline.
Let us know what happens over the next week or so. I'd really love to know what comes to you, because I got the sense that you went quiet for a moment. I got a sense that you saw something differently for a moment. So I'd love to see and hear from you what happens next. Thanks for your question, Michelle. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
Really good question. Such an important question for so many people as well, right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Next, we have Deandra Fields.
I love the way, Anita, that you're full naming everyone. I love that.
know.
It's very formal.
It's very formal. Yes, welcome to the course, Deandra.
And I'm not normally formal.
Thank you.
Welcome, Deandra.
Yeah, so I am a long-term Rebel follower. I've been listening to the podcast from day one, and want to thank all of you guys. It's been very inspirational, and all the work that I've done so far has been a direct inference and from what you guys talk about. So
wow, that's cool.
Being able to, get out there and start something has been great. Yeah. So that's my fangirl moment. And by the way, Katie, I love how you just show up on the podcast without actually being on the podcast. That is great too. Yeah. Okay. So my question is, so this year, like my main goal is I have a business. It's evidence-based nutrition coaching. So I find that there's a lot of people going through this program that are working on health, and a lot of people want to eat healthier. So I know that there's a big niche out there, but I went through some of my own health issues this year, and I kind of lost steam. So I had launched in January, and then I got a diagnosis in that same week. And so I kind of just like went into myself. And I did actually have a couple clients, which was great. So I was like able to help them, and we worked on like similar things at the same time. But my question is, how do I fall in love with my business again and regain that momentum, and preferably in a way that's not spending a lot of money, because I'm a graduate student and I did spend a lot of money on my health this year.
What's your dream?
My dream is to have so many coaching clients that I can do that full time. So I've worked in biotech industry before in late stage cancer diagnostics, and I wasn't really connecting with the people on the other side. And so when I coach, I get filled up, and I know that, I can be helping people one-on-one, and I can use my talents of reading the scientific literature to implement something that may not come mainstream for the next like 10 to 15 years.
Cool. And as you sit here now, what's your best guess of what's stopping you?
So the best guess for me is worrying about, is my health going to stay in a shape where I can continue? Because I don't have that like clearance. So everything's gone really well, really great. Like all my doctors say that like it doesn't look like I've gone through any treatments, because the health and the lifestyle factors that I put into play like keep me at this certain energy that I have very little side effects. But yet I still wonder like do I need that like clean slate that says like you're good and you don't have to worry about this? Because I don't want to promise to clients and then get pulled back, right, because of my own.
You're awesome. I've got a few thoughts. Alan, what's in your head?
Well, I was just going to, is it a doctor that needs you to give you permission to get going? Like, who needs to stamp your thing? Like, can I do it? Can you,
you can do it. Yeah.
Do you have a look? Okay, I give you permission to have a go.
Okay. I feel like we need this long disclaimer here. Alan is not a certified professional doctor. Please consult your physician before doing anything crazy.
But I don't think there's many risks going in how
I
coaching,
know,
but
it's a joke.
I give you permission to have a go and to get clients. And then if you have to slow down, I give you permission to say to the clients, I have to slow down.
Okay.
And I will still support you in this way, but I just can't do it in quite the same way. So people understand that. The thing is, like, I could be looking forward and going, I might have health issues about this, this, and this, so I shouldn't try. But like, you can't predict. You might have the next 15 years of unbelievable energy and health. You might have 50 years, or you might have 6 weeks, and then you have to slow down and then start again. But we can't tell. So let's not waste your precious energy and life and time. Let's have a go, and we give you permission to change if you need to.
Great.
I love that. How many minutes per day have you spent worrying about whether you could or should or shouldn't be doing what you want to do?
I try to just take action. Like today I made my first YouTube video.
Yeah.
So that was my mini experiment, and it was making smoothies, and I put it on the Facebook page. So if you can't find it, I might have to put it on there again. But yeah, so when I get that, I say, what is the use of that? Like, so say I get something happens with my health and I need to stop. Like, am I gonna regret all the work that I put in? No, I'm gonna be happy that I did that. I'm gonna be happy that I helped all these people. So just do it.
If you spent an hour a day worrying, that's like an hour that you could be billing, you know, like that kind of struck me. And then I guess my other thought was, people need you more than ever. And if you know, one of the beauties of entrepreneurship is that you get to decide when you work and when you don't work. And I meet lots of people that beat themselves up over, hey, I got to be at my desk at 9 and I got to finish at 5. No, you don't. You know, a friend of mine walks the dog for about 5 hours a day. He does his work for 3 hours in the morning and then stops. He earns enough money to do what he wants to do, and he gets to decide. And I guess if you got to the point where you had to dial it back, the worst case scenario is you say, hey, I'm really sorry, I can't work with you for the next couple of months, but I'd like to put you onto this person who can help you, or I'm going to give you your money back, or, you know, I guess it's useful to sort of plan what might happen, but don't spend too much time there. Well, the world needs you more than ever right now, and it's getting worse every year, right?
Yeah.
So shine your light into the world. We need you. Get on with it.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you.
In the nicest possible way, get on with it. We love you.
Yeah, get on with it. Exactly.
Thank you for framing that better than I did, Alan.
In the nicest possible way.
Yeah. I'm being selfish, right? If I don't do it, if I don't help people.
Help people.
You said that. I didn't say that. You said that. Just so you know. That's lovely. Thank you for your question.
Read the chat as well, because there's a couple of suggestions and ideas in there as well.
There's some lovely comments in there. So yeah, I think read those.
Nice.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Deandra. You're amazing and a star. Next, we have Esther, but I don't know her surname, so I'm just going to call her.
Here's Esther.
Hello, Esther.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
So my question is about just like negative self-talk, like having this like negative self-talk where, you know, I'll hear myself say something about myself that I would never say to anybody else. So there's that part of, you know, the negative, the stinking thinking, but then there's also like a sort of, you know, like a deep feeling in me that I can do great stuff and I can be useful and I can help people. And, you know, there's an incongruence there, and it's like affecting like my confidence and my decision making. And, you know, opportunities have come up. I'm like, oh, I don't know. What if I, you know, what if I don't, you know, if I spend money on that, or, you know, the money that I invested and, oh, I'm going to get in, just all of that stuff. And I'm kind of like in inertia. So my days in my business are really not productive at the moment. So it's just become this sort of vicious circle of negative self-talk. Oh my God, but it could be amazing. Oh God, I don't know if I should do that. And I'm just sort of stuck in that. And, you know, it's really fantastic, all this work. I didn't find out about this course until like last Thursday. I did all the catching up today.
Awesome.
So it's kind of like, you know, a big tapestry, let's call it that.
Yeah, loads of information coming at you right now.
You must be sick of
You've
us
done
by
like
now.
6 hours today. Wow.
I'm even sick of us. Like, you must be really sick of us.
Watch it on 1.25, so you all speak a bit quicker. Do you know what I mean? But
Good
so
strategy.
yeah, it's just this tapestry of stuff, and I'm kind of like, okay, so what next?
So, like, if I was just to give a first thought, it would be self-talk. That's you talking to yourself. You know, you can control that. You know, that's like something you can control. Because I think people don't believe they can control it. It's just the way I talk to myself. But actually, you can talk to yourself any way you want. And I would add, like, so many people do this. Like I've said to Katie many times over the years, if anyone else spoke to my wife the way she speaks to her, I would knock them out. I would destroy them. I would fight them. But like, she's the meanest person in the world to herself, and I hate it. And it makes me want to fight that part of Katie that's mean to her. It really does. Like, no one talks to my wife like that. And like, I don't think you should talk to yourself like that. I want to come and knock that part of you out that's like giving you that stick. You don't need it. Let's be nice to you. You deserve it. So I think like what happens is we get stuck in a rut with the way we talk to each other, talk to ourselves, and it becomes this just like rut. It's like the deepest groove we get stuck in. So we need to change that. And the only way to change it is to starve that side and feed the other side. And by starving the negative self-talk, it shrinks and it goes away. It's like the path grows over, the rut goes away, but it might take some time. And if we grow the other side, then we grow this positive side. So every time you say something negative, like, oh, I just said something bad to myself, why don't I try asking myself a positive question? Why don't I say this? Or maybe you train yourself with, in the morning, I will ask myself these 3 questions. What am I grateful for? What might go right today? And what's one thing I can do to show myself that I love myself? And you do that every morning, and you start with that. So you train yourself to have the positive thoughts and the energy, and you let the other side grow. And then every time you have a negative thought, ring me and I will smack it down.
And he will, Esther. The thought you just reminded me of, Alan, is something that's been really effective for me, which is a little mantra that happens when the self-talk pops up, which is like, there is a version of this that uses the F word, but I'm not going to go there because we're among friends. But shut up. No, I'm not doing that now. Shut up. No, I'm not doing that now. And that's been transformational, because I was waking up, my head was filling with thoughts at the start of the day. Lots of negative self-talk. What about this? And what about that? And what if that happens? And what if that happens? Shut up. No, I'm not doing that today. And then I just settled down into a feeling of calm. And just calm, just be calm.
So interrupt.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Interrupt, and just the reminder that you're best, like, you know exactly what to do already when you're calm. Your body, your mind, you already know what to do. Your instinct is already telling you the right things. And the reason that maybe you're feeling stuck is because that's hidden behind a cloud of thinking, of story, of negative thoughts, and what if this and what if that. But once you remove that stuff out of the way, you already know what to do. I can see it in your face. You already know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when that negative voice comes up, just say, shut the front door.
Shut the front door. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And, yeah, and I just sort of want to just bring back my confidence. My confidence is just gone.
Hey, Esther, I got amazing news for you. It hasn't gone anywhere.
That's true.
You've got unlimited confidence within you already. It's just, when you're not in the present moment, it feels like it's gone, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It's waiting for you whenever you're ready to tap into it. And as soon as you can interrupt what's been going on and look for a feeling of calm, you have an abundance of confidence already there. Unlimited.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank
There's
you.
some nice stuff in the chat for you too.
I was so scared to do it, so that's already sort of given me some confidence.
Look at you with all your confidence, huh?
I'm not scary. Esther, you are amazing. Thank you for coming on. Read the comments that came up as you were chatting, because there's some lovely comments in there for you. So thank you for coming on the course.
Thank you.
Thanks, Esther. And I say, I do not have time for this. I have far too much to do. And I tell you.
Yeah, shut the front door.
And next, we have wonderful Sandy.
Wonderful,
Yay,
Sandy.
Wonderful Sandy.
I love the descriptors.
Hi. So I don't know. I kind of hesitated on putting my hand up here, but because I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this into a question here, because I don't know. I tend to come at things from a very different angle from other people, and in my career, I turned that into a strength and stuff, and that works well. But for this, I hear so many people saying like, oh, they're so inspired by this and they're motivated. This is, and like everything from the course is exciting them. And I feel like it's going the exact opposite way for me. The week one homework was like, I was actually in tears. It took me a few days to recover from it. I didn't even want to touch the week 2 homework until yesterday, so I only did part of it. And it's just like, so much of this has just been bringing me down so much. And I don't want to walk away from the class, because I feel like at some point I will get something good and useful out of it. I feel like there's a reason that this class showed up at the time that it did in my life. And I'm just waiting to figure out what that reason is, what's the thing I'm going to take from it. But at the same time, like, how do I get through this without it just being so crushing to me emotionally?
Oh, Sandy.
It's
First
such
up,
a brave question to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you. So like, Sandy, what's your best guess of what's been going on for you what's behind it, do you think? What are the things that have been tricky to get your head around and have felt difficult to understand or to apply for yourself? What do you think? What's your best guess?
I mean, I've been through other self-examination things before. I know what's wrong with my life. I know what's missing. My wheel of life looks like a bow tie. I'm very, very much aware of that. And that's and the stuff that I've tried working on before, and found that and this is not. It's not coming from a place of belief. This is just observation.
Yeah, it's good.
When I try to push to make things happen, they do not happen. What works is when I'm prepared and can opportunistically take advantage of the things that just show up, because stuff just shows up sometimes. And that when I'm ready and I can jump on that, that's what works. Trying to force things is just banging my head against a wall.
Well, that makes a lot of sense to me, Sandy. I've tried to force things too. And sometimes it doesn't happen. And a little bit like what I was saying to Michelle about the writing. So like there's some wisdom in play there. It's kind of, there's a bit of protection going on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That could be your mind and your body going, hey, not now. So what do you want, Sandy? What's the thing that you really want?
I mean, well, I know what I really want, but that's not something that I feel like I'm in a place to work on right now. What I really want is friends and a family. That's something I've wanted for a very long time. That's something that I've worked on for a very long time, and it mostly goes in the opposite direction of what I'm trying to do. So realistically, what I think is reasonable to work on right now is just figuring out my kind of next step in my career. I just left a job back in October. And so I think that a productive thing for me to do is try to figure out what I'm doing next, because when I work on the other stuff, it's just like nothing happens. It doesn't help anyway. So I need to be able to take care of myself.
That makes sense. Go on now. What's on your mind?
I had 2 thoughts. The first one is, like, one of the reasons why the course might be
particularly painful is you have a goal, but it doesn't sound like you think like you can work on it. So then like part of the course is like head towards your dream life, but you're like, that's my dream life, but I can't. So I'll like settle for this. And then you've got that, like, I really want that, but I can't. And you're like in that purgatory ripped bit that's causing that pain. And that feels like what that is. And like, this might sound harsh, but please take it the right way. There is a lot of stories around the possibilities of friends and different things. And there's a piece that's going to come up next week, which I'm going to say to you now anyway. The biggest gift you can give the world is your happiness, Sandy. And
okay, I'm going to start crying again.
Just keep breathing, Sandy.
I just want to give you a hug as well.
Just breathe
like,
your way
where do you
through.
live? I'll come around and have coffee with you and give you a hug. If you live in Mexico, that would make it a lot easier.
I'm a bit north of you. I'm in Colorado.
Oh, I love Colorado. I'll come and see you next time we're there. But like,
yeah, I first found out about you when you did the pop-up business school in Longmont. Wasn't able to go, but I watched a few of the sessions
cool.
via the live stream. So
that's so cool. The biggest gift you can give the world is your happiness. And if you show up in the world happy, you attract the friends, the people you want into your life. So the biggest thing for me is how can we help Sandy work on her happiness? How can we help you like radiate the happiness and joy that's inside you that's been suppressed? That would be where I would be starting, because if we can work on you and help you, it will attract the other things you want. Like people will want to be around you. And I say this to Katie, like the biggest gift Katie can give me is her happiness. Do what makes you happy. Like I can make you laugh, but I can't make you happy. Like I can't do that for you. You've got to do it for me. And I want you to do it for me. I want you to do it for me. Like I can't make Simon happy. I've tried. But I want him to be happy, so he has to do it for me. And then the vice versa is true. What's the biggest gift I can give Haiti? My happiness. Because if I'm a happy person, if I'm full of life and joy, I'm doing what I like, then she'll enjoy being around me. And like that will be the piece. Katie's got something to add, but that's the bit I want to look at you and say, the biggest gift you can give me is your happiness. So let's start working on that to start with.
Go ahead.
So I can relate a lot. Like I feel when we've been doing the homework this week in the last couple of weeks, it's brought up like a lot of stuff, and we've had like arguments and tears and all sorts of stuff. So like this it is hard sometimes. Stuff comes up and like, yeah. So I just wanted to say that happens and that's okay. And I realized that I had a belief, a story that change is hard. And I feel like that's what I'm getting from you as well. Like it feels like you believe that it's hard and it's a push and it's a struggle. So I'm going to borrow one of Simon's questions and say like, well, what if change was easy? Like, how would that feel? And I've been trying that on this week in the last couple of days. Like, what if it was easy and it was fun? Because I've always like my whole life been very much like push, make it happen. And it's too much. Like that energy is not the right energy to get what I want, which is what like Simon has been saying of that feeling of peace. If I'm like push, change is hard. So yeah, that's my observation from what it felt like when you were speaking.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel like change is necessarily hard. If anything, I come from the opposite way. I feel like change is the only thing that can save me. You know, that like that I need certain things to change. You know, and gosh, wouldn't it be great if they changed for the better. You know, I actively pursue change. I take chances on things. I try stuff. But like say, what's typically worked is when I'm just, you know, prepared in that and that, you know, like the bus comes by and I jump on it, you know. Like those are the things that tend to work in my life. Like
that sounds great.
Like
Sandy,
saying I want the bus to be here now accomplishes nothing. I'm standing there alone at a bus stop.
No,
you know?
you can't control the bus.
No.
Yeah.
But there might be more buses.
I'm sorry for talking over you, Simon.
No, that's all. No, I did the same. I tried to interrupt you and I failed, Sandy, because the thing I wanted to say was because I've noticed in your language in the chat and what we've been saying here, like you said the word nothing ever works. And if that was my story, like I wouldn't want to do stuff either. That would feel like, well, what's the point in trying? And I saw a thing the other day which really struck me, which is about how nothing positive can happen when we're sitting in negativity. So that thing that we've been through tonight about reframing and about just spotting when language feels so binary and closed and you know, and I really get you. Like you're not the only one to have tears this fortnight. I can vouch for what Katie said, and but, you know, you got this, Sandy.
Okay, well, it helps to know I'm not the only one, because I definitely struggle with a lot of these things where everybody's like, no, you have to be positive, you have to look at the positive side, because that just
always
that never inspires me. That always feels phony.
Feel the feels, Sandy.
I like it when stuff's real.
Yeah, feel the feels and just spot what's causing the feelings, feel them, and then you don't have to sit in them though. It's just letting you know that you're thinking some things that are making you feel upset, or that you're thinking some things that make you feel frustrated or despondent. They're not real. It's just how you're thinking in that moment. But it's okay to think that. It's okay to feel that, and they'll come and go. And, you know, 4,000 people have signed up for this course. There's a whole bunch of people that haven't got it figured out yet. And we haven't either. We're just on the same trajectory as you. And like, I'm so inspired by what you've said and the fact that you raised your hand and called it, because that means that we've now taken the next step in being able to do something about it together. So I'm super proud of you for that. And I actually feel quite emotional thinking about it, actually, because I know what bravery that is. And that to me tells me everything I need to know, that you've got all of the tools already. You've got everything that you need to create the life that you want already there. It's just hidden behind the thoughts right now. And we'll get there. We're already there, actually. But more on that next week.
Sandy,
thank you so much.
You are wonderful, Sandy. And
you are.
Tears.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I will. Oh no, I'm not going to cry. And I didn't do homework either. I've been a keener, as Alan knows, with the homework this week, but I wasn't emotionally had to separate from it. And people wouldn't think that of me. So you'll get there. Thank you.
Yeah, and let us know how it goes, Sandy. You have friends here. Like, just message us. Let us know how it goes.
Why am I spotlighted? Hold on.
Because you were talking, and I
don't want to
see your
be.
face.
I don't want to be. No. Okay, next we have Amazing Amy.
Amazing Amy, then Andy Welcome, and then Carolina, and then we've defeated the party. Hey, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
I can see you.
Yeah, I've been coming to Rebel for ages. I think I went to the first one in Bristol, and then the second one in Bristol, and then the third one in Bristol. So yeah, I've sort of been quite into the Bristols. Yeah, I suppose the thing, hey, it's good to see you guys. Yeah, I suppose the thing I sort of struggle with, I just sort of have a mood disorder, and it's sort of something that's been part of my life. And I took time off work. I've been off work for like 7 years, and I just feel really ashamed about it because I couldn't see any other way to sort of do a business without taking the time off to do it. And now I'm looking to go back into work, but I just feel really like anxious about it because I've got all the routines I need to stay well now. And like I have been doing part-time work over the pandemic, but like I'm earning like peanuts, like it's not really sensible amounts of money. So I can't really see how I'm going to go from being on benefits to even making the amount of money I'm on benefits as a business. So yeah, so I just feel a bit stuck. I feel in that sort of purgatory place of, as long as I don't do over 16 hours, I'm fine. As long as I don't do over £140 a week, you know, I'm working in the boundaries of the bit of so I don't apply for an Arts Council grant because I'm scared that if they stick all that money in my bank account, I'm going to lose my benefits. So it's just negotiating that stuff.
Yeah, got it. Amy, have you had a conversation with a job centre DWP advisor about the reality of the money stuff? Because I think what I heard was that you're worried about things.
Yeah.
Some of them might be real, but some of them might be imagined. And I think if I think about my dealings with HMRC, I buried my head in the sand for about 18 months a while ago. And you know, because I was worried about what the implications were if I was to have the conversation with them. And when I had the conversation with them, two things happened. Number one, they answered the phone. I mean, it did take them about 10 minutes, but they did answer the phone. That was my first story crushed. And my second story crushed was they were massively helpful on the phone. And I just wasn't expecting
I'm just really scared because they can do pretty freaky stuff. Like, I feel like I've got to try and be completely ready for it before I even have a phone call with them.
Can I give you the language to use?
If I even say that's sort of my fear, is that if I go to them and say, look, I'm looking at going into work, they're like, great, okay, we'll stick you on job seekers allowance.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a 6-month deadline.
I got the language for you, which might help Amy to de-risk it a bit. And I do understand exactly where you're coming from, because there are a few stories there, and we do need to be smart about what we say and how we say it and when we say it, just to inoculate yourself against that possibility, right? So some of the language to use, and I just noticed Lisa's put something in the chat about citizens' advice. There are a couple of organizations that help you make sure you're claiming everything that you're entitled to. So that's my first, like, a side note. But the language to use is something called a better off calculation. And what you can say to your advisor is that you're exploring different pathways back into the workplace. You haven't been working for some time, but if I was to earn X, please can you calculate for me what the impact would be on my income if that was to happen, and give them like 4 or 5 different numbers. So you can see, well, if I earned £100 a week, what would happen? If I earned £500 a week, what would happen? If I earned £1,000 a week, what might happen, or whatever the numbers are. And then they will tell you that the impact on your benefits will be X. And the benefit system has actually changed quite a lot in the last couple of years. You're probably aware of that. But actually, the way that universal credit is calculated in the UK means that it should make it a more straightforward process for you and less scary, because it's all one benefit rather than lots of things broken up. So the conversation to have with them is better off calculation. If I was to go back into the workplace, if I was to get signed off by my doctor, if I was to be able to explore different ways of earning money, what would the impact be at different points, so I can make a smart decision about what to do next? Please, can you help me? That's the sort of conversation that I think would really help, because you're not committing to anything, but you're using the right sort of language. Make sense?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's just using the right language. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Alan will have a take on this. You've played with Job Centre before, Al, haven't you?
Love them. Some of them are amazing. Some of them really aren't. The one thing I was going to add was ring up a central line and do it anonymously.
Yeah.
And do an okay, it sounds like Katie was going to say the same thing, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want them to tell them who I am. And you can ring them up and say, I would like to do this anonymously. Right. Please help me understand this. I have good intentions, but I'm just scared.
Sometimes they don't even ask for your name or any details. You're just like, hello, how can I help? And you're like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I have this question, blah, 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 whatever it is. And you never have to disclose your name or any details.
Which actually, this kind of whole thing brings us back to the fear setting exercise Katie was talking about right at the start, which I think would be brilliant for this, is going through, ring them for real information.
Yeah.
And then with real information, what's the worst that happens? What's the best that happens?
Yeah.
And coming up with those bits, because you can do it. You definitely shouldn't be ashamed of taking time off work to look after your health and work out things.
Yeah.
You should be proud you've done that. And the whole system is designed to support you to do that. So I'm proud you've done that. And I'm proud you want to like do some more things in different ways. I'm very proud of that. So I think own the fact you've looked after yourself. Awesome. Because so many people don't. And then let's do some cool shit going forwards.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is just reframing it a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think I just need to sort of just get to grips with what the reality is, because
Yes.
that really help. I think doing it anonymously and finding different lines I can do it anonymously through, because I'm on ESA and ESA doesn't exist anymore. So I wouldn't I would have to go on to a whole new benefit.
Got it.
Yeah, so you don't want to open that can of worms yet. Like go speak anonymously. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Great question.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming, Amy, and thank you for asking.
Yeah, no, I love you guys. Thank you so much for your help.
Who's next? Who's next, Anita?
Have Andy welcome. Or is it
welcome, Andy?
Welcome, Andy.
He's not heard that before.
No, that's what I was about to say.
Is your surname actually Welcome, Andy?
Yes.
I love that.
That's so awesome.
Thanks.
Good to see you, Andy.
Thank you, Andrew.
Andy.
I've been following Rebel a few times on different courses, and this one is really pulls at the heartstrings and one's deepest possible complexes. I have a slight complex. I was adopted at a year old, and then my adopted mother died of cancer when I was 3.5.
Oh man.
My adopted father died by the time I was 19. And I've been on my own ever since. And I've been in business with a couple of people before, about 20 years ago. One was an art business, and I got ripped off by my partner who was older. And the next was a software business where we designed the first Millennium Bug software. And as soon as the money started to come in, my partner decided to try and rip me off. So since then, I've got my own business ideas, but I've been sitting on them for the last 10 years. Bit like Between the Two Mountains. I've got like 500 books on business and self-development. And I feel that the one thing missing was parental support. Everybody famous that I've discovered on the internet or in books, they all had one thing in common, and that is they all had at least one supportive parent for them to become established. The only one who didn't was Les Brown, but his grandmother brought him up. And that's the one thing I felt was missing. So that's where I'm stuck.
Got it.
So if I could summarize, and please, like I'm saying this to help, the story you've got is that it's impossible to be successful without at least one loving parent.
Possibly, yeah, that's one of my stories. Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
My biggest lessons have come from the parent that caused me the most pain.
Yeah.
Like the biggest lessons in my life came from the parent that did the stuff that hurt me and the family the most. And the one thing I would say to you, like the story that always rings to me is there were two brothers, and the two brothers had the same dad. And the dad was in and out of prison, on drugs, like really in a mess, and ended up permanently in prison. And the two brothers, one followed the dad's footsteps, in and out of prison, drugs, and actually ended up being put in prison for attempted murder. And the other got a lovely wife, a beautiful house, and a nice job, and ended up having kids. And by any measure of normal, like success rates, was very happy and successful.
Yes.
And when they were asked about it, they both gave the same reason why. Like, why did you become who you are? And the reason they gave was, with a dad like mine, what else could I become? So I would say to you, with a history like yours, what else could you become?
So I could become successful. I spoke to Diamond Diva. I don't know if you've heard of her. She works with John Lee. And I said, she said, maybe you're the one to break the mold of becoming successful without parental support. Because I've designed one business called Funky Orange, which is a social network for people who haven't got support in their lives for whatever they want to achieve. But I haven't fully launched it yet. I've got it ready, but I've been sitting on it for the last 10 years, along with half a dozen other projects.
Like, why don't you try sitting on something else?
Chair.
Andy.
Yes.
I'm really sorry you had those things happen to you. And I wish I could change it for you. I really do.
Thanks. Thank you.
But I can't. And neither can anybody. And I think the thing that really struck me as you were talking was, and please take this the right way, I heard lots of things that happened 20 years ago. And the best thing about the past is over.
It's over.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of Alan's questions tonight was, what are you prepared to give up? And what I've noticed is the thing that's holding you back from taking the action that's in your heart is the things that, or your story about the things that happened, you know, in business deals gone bad over the years and so on. And I'm sorry that stuff happened, but you don't necessarily have to carry it around with you anymore. Like what if you didn't? What if you were free of that? What would you do next?
Yeah. Get on with it.
Yeah, well,
I am prepared to pay the price.
Well, you know, everything that we've learned over the years through Rebel is the mini experiment is your friend. Pick a thing, go do the thing, and leave the past where it belongs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a thumbs up. Love it. Yeah. I think that was a thumbs up.
I like the drama. No, he did it really slowly, which was like, it was kind of dramatic. I like that. That gave me a little bit more thinking time.
You didn't know which finger it was going to be.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, Katie. Andy, thank you very much for that. Like, thank you so much for sharing what you shared as well. I'm quite touched, my friend. That's brave. Good for you, my friend.
Thank you, Andy. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you.
It's been one of those weeks. Wow.
And last but not least,
Carolina's here.
Come on down.
I love it.
You're built for this, Anita. You're built for this. This is brilliant. Hi, Carolina.
Hi. Matteo, it's bedtime. Go to bed. Sorry, it's my...
Okay, see ya.
Ciao. Go to bed.
It's bedtime. What are you still doing up? Whoever that is.
Oh, honestly, I've got 2 kids. My husband's away this week, and I've got 2 kids.
They know it, don't they?
He's saying the eldest is the one that breaks your balls the most, and he's up.
Start a business before you go to bed.
Where I'm at is I am a professional. I am a dentist, and I've been. I'm from South America. I came to the UK, revalidating my degree over a long time and a lot of effort. And I'm finding now that through health issues that I have, and that could, I don't know, maybe in the future might get worse, I may have to look at doing things differently or doing something else. Through my health issues, I've learned a lot about nutrition and functional medicine, and it's really helped me. I am a dentist, not a doctor, so it's like there's so many things that I'm interested in, and I just don't know what to do next. I know that I would like to train in something that I can do anywhere, either be person to person or online. And it's like, for instance, I'm very interested in nutrition at the moment. So one of the things I'm looking at, and is learning what course to do, because you could do. I don't mind putting in the hours and putting in the effort. But it's do I go for a level 5 course? Do I go for a level 4? Do I do nutrition in uni? Do I just do something else? It's like, I need to find my goal so that then I can do a path from where I am now to where I want to be. I'm bilingual, of course, Spanish and English, and I used to speak other languages in the past as well. I just know that there's a lot more traveling I want to do, and I want to do a lot more work when I'm traveling, and I'm keen to learn something. It's been a long time since I learned. It's like I'm reading books, about metabolism and things, and I just find it so interesting. And I think if I finally manage to lose weight in the menopause, if I can transfer some of what I'm learning to other women, especially now getting an appointment on the NHS is really difficult. But I'm finding that the nurses at work are saying, oh, you should be a life coach because of the things I'm telling them and the things that they see I tell my patients. And I'm like, oh gosh, I never even thought of something like that.
There's so much to do, isn't there? Which one are you going to do? Which one lights you up the most? Do you know yet?
I'm not sure. It's like I get excited with little things. Like,
I know, me too.
I fixed a boiler while we were having the talk before. It's like I thought, is it me? Because I was poorly last week, really poorly, and I just don't know what to do next. And it's like indecision, and because I'm indecisive about what to do next, and at the moment I'm not doing anything. So I'm still working, I'm still looking after my patients, still doing my CPD, still look after the house, the kids, my family, my husband and stuff. But I want to do something for me that I couldn't do if I am living in South America, if I am going on a long trip around Asia, or, whatever I decide to do in the short and when in the long future. I'm just not sure.
I'm not surprised. You got so much stuff in your head. I don't think I'd know either. I've got a thought about identity, Al. Is there anything that you want to jump in with, or shall I start with that?
I was going to go to my mountains and my mini experiments. So maybe you start identity.
Okay. Carolina, you really reminded me of a lawyer that came to one of our courses, and I said to her, tell me what your business idea is. She said, well, I was a lawyer. Okay, yeah, okay. But tell me what are your business are you doing? She said, well, I'm a lawyer by trade. And she kept on saying that. And I'm thinking, like, am I asking the wrong question? Does she not? I don't, And what I noticed, the very first few things that you said lots of identity. I am from South America. You said, I am a professional. I think that was the first thing you said. I'm a professional.
Yep, I am a professional.
You said,
I was
am a dentist.
interested to know what type of pro.
Yeah, you're interested. You said, I'm a dentist 3 times. I think it was definitely twice in the first bit. And then you said it again. So I think, like, to me, that's to carry on Alan's mountain analogy. I think if you wanted to have a look up a different mountain and experiment with a different climb for a moment, I think we have to just recognize that that's the job that you did. And I get it. The same with the lawyer. She said, I spent 9 years studying for my law degree, and her dad and her husband said, you've got this big high powered job and you're an A-star student and all this stuff. Her identity was so wrapped up in the fact that she was a lawyer that she couldn't, I got her to repeat the words. I said, repeat after me. She said, I am an entrepreneur. No, I can't say that. No, just say it once. Just say it once, or else I'm locking the door and you're not allowed to leave. She said, are you allowed to do that? That's against the law. Eventually I got her to say it, but it was really hard for her to take on a new identity for a bit. And I just firstly want you to spot for that, because it might be that there's a new identity waiting for you that you might find it harder to grab. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can definitely see myself doing a different role, like I said, maybe nutrition, and helping people through that way, or maybe a combination of life coaching, nutrition. Maybe I need to do one course at once.
Love it. I have worked as a dentist for many years. I studied to be a dentist. It doesn't have to be your identity anymore. We're going to leave room for a new identity, I think. Al?
Yeah.
Katie, what's on your mind?
Did you have something? The bit I would kind of build on was like a lot of your assumptions was I need a certificate next to get to the next step. Which course am I going to study? Which certificate am I going to get? I would say run the mini experiment before you do the certificate to get to know whether you actually want to do it. And just like, I don't know whether you will hold respect for me after this or not. I don't have a certificate. I don't have a university degree. Like, I've sorted out my financial independence. I've built businesses. I don't have certificates. Simon has a certificate. He's like the one that has a certificate.
I'm the grown up in this business.
Yeah. Katie has certificates.
I'm the grown up in this marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, you're the most grown up out of all of us.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say, like, don't be locked down. Run the mini experiment to see if you enjoy doing it. Find a friend that's struggling with it and teach them what you know to start with before you get the certificate. And if they have a problem you can't fix, read the books, learn the stuff, and help that person. Like, run the mini experiment without getting the certificate. See if it feels nice. Did you like helping them? Did they like helping you? Would they pay for it? All those different things. And run a few mini experiments without getting a certificate to test to see if you like it. You don't have to be certified to run a mini experiment. And if you do, I will print you a certificate that says you are certified to run a mini experiment.
It's not that I need a certificate. It's just that, you know, to be able to provide advice and things, at least working in the health side, then sometimes you have to show a level of knowledge that is, you know, you have to show some kind of piece of paper or something to prove that you've achieved that level. I mean, if I can make a living that allows me time to have more fun and more time with my family, it's not about the certificate. It's about, that's one thing I could think of that I could do because I found it very interesting. But saying that, what else could I do without a certificate? It's like this
anything
world out there, and I only know a tiny bit. I don't really know much about what else I could do. You know,
come out to play, like come out and discover it. Let's do some mini experiments. Go and volunteer for one of your days off with a business you know nothing about. Go, like, there's two phases of life. Well, not life, two phases of creativity. And the first phase is like where you come up with ideas and explore. And the second phase is where you choose which one you're going to go for. And it sounds like you're trying to jump to what should I do without going through, let's explore and try and test and taste and experience all the different things. And once I've done that, I'm going to allow myself a period of a year. I'm going to try one different thing a week. I'm going to do half an hour of this or an hour of that, or I'm going to read this bit or do a course on this. And I'm going to taste all these different flavors. I feel like you're trying to jump to the answer without, because you've said, I don't really know all the options. And
I want to dip my feet in the water, but there's lots of seas.
Well, at some point you got to get your feet wet, Carolina.
Oh yeah. So it's like, I've tried a bit of this and then I'm going to try a bit of that.
I love that.
Don't be surprised if I send you an email saying that I want to help you with something and volunteer. But
I think that's where it starts. It's like pick a thing that you know that you want to share with somebody else. You know, some of the things that you found have really helped you, that have been, you know, perhaps bordering on life-changing, listening to some of the words that you've said. Go find someone like you and share what you've learned and have a go and see what it feels like.
It's just, you know, I speak to, well, people at work and friends and stuff, and I'm always, you know, saying about financial independence, about doing something that it's fun. And it's all these things. And it's like, well, it's time for me to do something different now.
I love that. Yes. absolutely. And do something for you and test a bunch of stuff. And like you said, you don't know which seat to put your feet in, just pick one, it doesn't really matter, and put your feet in, see whether it's cold or hot, whether you like it, and then try another few. And that would be what I would do, is let's start experimenting. You've got a nice family. Well, I'm assuming they're nice. Although, yeah, they're all right.
One of them won't go to bed.
Buenas noches, Mateo.
Yeah, vas a dormir, por favor.
Sí.
And you've got that. So you've got, like, find a little bit of space to try something for you each week, and give yourself the gift of experimentation for a period before you try and jump to the answer.
Or you're not going to get the answer right first time, no matter how much you think about it. I meant to mention that. You know, if you get it right first time, Carolina, I'll be really cross because it took me about 15 years to choose the right thing. You know, it's part of the process.
What do you do if you enjoy several things? I mean, you how do you just focus on one thing? It's like, I like all kinds of creative stuff.
Me too.
Do I focus on, say, quilting and sewing and creative stuff that way? Do I focus on I don't know, the nutrition side of things? Do I focus on teaching kids about financial education? Do I focus on maybe, I don't know, something else? And it's like, I just don't know what to choose. You know, I
got a few thoughts, apart from come to a Rebel Business School, because that will help you. Alan, what's in your mind?
You can do everything, just not all at once.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know how old you are. You don't look that old. You're like, I don't know.
I'm 47.
47, you're ancient. Like, you haven't got long left. You probably should pick the right career and make sure
Can
it's
you
the
jab
perfect
him?
one.
Like...
But, like, you've got enough time for, like, 3, 4, 5 careers if you want it. You could spend 2 years at this, 2 years at that, 2 years at the other. There's no right answer. You're in purgatory because you're trying to pick the right thing and trying to, like, go, which one should I do? You've got plenty of time to try stuff. So let's try some things and pick one, and just pick anything and start.
Yeah.
And then after you've experimented a bit, we can go through a process that goes, okay, what are your values? And then which one of these ideas that I've tested and liked fits my values, and I'll do it. But to start with, you've got to try some stuff. We're not even close to that yet. Like,
no, it was just like, for instance, I was thinking if I do a nutrition course, you've got these different levels, and some things you do with a company, some you would do with a university, and it's like, I know what I don't want to end up working in a hospital. I know that I want my new job to give me freedom to work one-to-one or from the computer. I even thought about learning counseling, and that's another option. But if you're doing a course and you're spending, money on a course, then
don't spend money. Don't spend money. This is what is stopping you. Is you're going, there's a big cost to this, so I'd better make the right choice. Like, don't spend money. Just do a mini experiment and go and volunteer to coach someone on this thing, or volunteer to do this, or pick a friend that wants help with their nutrition and that won't sue you if you make the wrong advice, that loves you, and just coach them for a bit because they want help. Like, do a mini experiment. You just need to get out of purgatory, because you're going, I'm going to spend money, I must make the right choice. And there is no right choice. This is all an illusion. And I love one of the comments that came up. Sandy said, if all else fails, choose at random. If you don't like the thing that was chosen at random, that tells you something, and then choose something else. Like, we just got to get you started, because you've got a huge amount of, like, things you're trying to analyze, and you're the person who's sat between the mountains trying to analyze it all. Like, just follow me up one for 2 minutes and see if you like it or not.
Yeah, sometimes you need people to tell you that.
Sometimes.
Everybody.
Boom. That's it. That's it. And I have followed Alan up a mountain several times, and I can confirm nothing bad happened, Carolina.
Yeah, no, this is, Alan, when you said don't be cross at me, and like, on the contrary, I'm more than happy to hear, because it's otherwise I'm knocking my head on the wall.
Yes. I mean, I told myself for a while that I really wanted to be an artist, and I thought about it for about 8 months. And then eventually one weekend I got out the paints, and I got out the canvas, and I spent the whole weekend creating bits of art, covered the kids in paint, covered my kitchen in paint. And then I realized by the end of the weekend, I didn't actually want to be an artist after all. But at least I've done a mini experiment, and now I know. I've been holding on to that idea for 8 months. It's not until you actually do the experiment, like Alan says, find someone to help and just experience it and see if you like it. And if you like it, repeat. And then you're getting closer to start thinking, like, what other bits of knowledge and information do I need to turn this into an income? But no point doing that until until you've done some of the work, Don't skip that stage. It's the most important one. Yeah.
Are you going to test something?
I think I'm gonna finish reading the 2 books I'm reading, and then I'm gonna tell the girls at work to see if they fancy having chats about nutrition.
Yeah, that's what we need, Carolina. Let us know when you've booked that first appointment. You could probably got enough information to have that conversation with them already.
Yeah, book the date now, because I bet you they can't talk to you for like 2 weeks, and that'll give you time to finish.
No, they'll probably want to do it after Christmas.
Perfect. So book the appointment, and that gives you time to read the books in the meantime.
Exactly.
That's Christmas sorted then. Brilliant.
Yeah.
That bit in between Christmas and New Year where nobody knows what to do. That's when you're going to finish those books if you've not done so before then. Nice work, Carolina.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on the course.
Interesting.
Thanks, everybody.
So Carolina was not last, but least. We have a Mark Shikata who snuck
in.
Mark snuck in. This is definitely the last question, because I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mark, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make this quick. Loads of things ran through my mind. I resonate a lot with Carolina in that I feel like there are so many options, and I'm quite talented, and I do have loads of positive beliefs. So I'm in many ways the opposite. So I'm still somehow held back by my trepidations, because I feel like there are so many options and I'm good at lots of things and I want to do lots of things. But anyway, my question is, are there any ways that you can partner up with people who might fit a different essential archetype for running a business? As far as I understand, there's like 3 pillars, types of people in, for example, my industry. So I'm a creative, right? So I've been a graphic designer for many years, and I now do photography and videography, and thinking about teaching dancing as well. So there's lots of different areas. So in design, in the creative field, yeah, Alan?
I was just going to say, I love your question. I have a slight comment at the start, which is the curse of the talented person. Like, if you believe you can do anything, there is a curse that, like, you could do anything. So that's paralyzing. And I have that. Like, I could get good at anything if I put my mind to it. Yeah. And then you're like, where do I focus? What do I do? And that's the curse bit, is it becomes quite difficult to decide, to come out with those options. That was just one bit I wanted to add. And the answer to your question, can you partner with someone? Yes. I partnered with someone who is so different to me, infuriatingly different. And it worked really well. So you can do it. It is possible. We are so different. But that's part of the joy of it. Yeah. So you can absolutely do that. And I think, I would come back to find some people to run some mini experiments with very low risk.
And how do you
like them?
How do you find people to partner up with business-wise?
Well, Alan's strategy was to complain about other people's companies and eventually they send someone along to help. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that strategy, although there was some good stuff in there. I think for the thing that struck me, Mark, is identifying like what you think would add most value to you. You know, it struck me immediately, if you're a creative, because the reason why, one of the reasons why the partnership with Alan and I worked is because in the early days, we ran some experiments that gave us the opportunity to iron out the bits that weren't working. Like when I was having a rough time, I just like disappear for 2 or 3 weeks because like my head was in a mess, but I forgot to tell Alan that my head was in a mess. So he was like, well, where the hell's Simon gone? So we had some difficult conversations in the early days. We accelerated trust because when we ran projects together, we realized A, we enjoyed it, and B, our clients enjoyed it, and C, you know, it seemed to go quite well and we'd get rebooked and so on. So it's a combination of mini experiment. And as a fellow creative, I've spent over the years far too much time thinking and creating and not enough time doing and selling. And I think one of the things that worked really well for us was Alan would listen to my 415 ideas, many of which may well have been a crock of shit, and then he picked one and went, I can sell that, be back in 20 minutes, and then he'd get on the phone and he'd ring someone, and that skill set of taking action and making sales really balanced out the creative stuff. That's not to say that Alan's not creative, he is too. That's not to say that I can't sell stuff, I can too. My skills have got a lot better over the years. But I think there's something in there about using your network to find people, you know, doing the work, go to networking events online and in real life, ask the people that you already trust and start taking deliberate action and saying, hey, I'm looking for a business partner. Do you know anybody that you might be able to introduce me to? And just to see if, it's chemistry and trust. To me, that trumps skill set. I don't know about you, Al, like I've got my thoughts. I think skills are great and it does help when they're complementary. But I think the grounding is, do I want to spend time with this person? Yes or no? Because you're going to spend a lot of time together. And the only really way that you'll really know if that's something for you is if you run a few experiments to see if you guys like it, both of you, you know?
So in my field, I've been just a freelancer, right? I handle everything myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not, it takes me, like you said, like you can make the sales and you can do the marketing and stuff like that, but you feel more at home with doing the creative stuff. So I'm similar. So it just kind of drags me down, it pulls me down, and it takes me forever if I think, oh, I need to like do the bookkeeping, or I need to do the marketing, I need to like contact other people and do the sales, and that like goes against my nature. I don't want to ask for work. I don't want to offer my services. But if anyone asks me, oh, like I'm thinking about getting some photography done, do you know anyone? I'm like, well, yeah, I do it. And I'll talk about like what fascinates me about photography and like what they're, and I'll engage them in conversation, but that's only through happenstance. So even though it grates against me to like motivate myself to go out there and push myself and my services out there, I find that it would be great if someone else did that for me. And so even if they're thinking, oh, I'd like to create some kind of company, but I'm not creative at all, well, I'll be like, well, I am, I can make that part. I'm not great at like marketing my services, but you're quite happy to do so. So then, but then in that case, then you're creating a business, like some kind of like, multi-partner business. But from my freelancing world, the people, the markets and the people who I'm connected to, they've got very small budgets. So if I have to think about, oh, I have to include paying multiple people to play multiple parts in this business, then I have to go to upper, higher price tag selling clients and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that's
exciting,
another
right?
headache that I haven't even considered.
Yeah. Well, what if it wasn't a headache, Mark? What if it was fun? What if you found someone that knew how to add a zero to every single sales conversation because that's what their skill set is?
So how do I find an Alan?
Oh, you don't want one of those. You want to borrow him?
I think he's got enough on his plate.
Yeah, maybe you're right. To me, I think it's I think you just got to get out there and start sweating your network and asking questions of the people that you trust. Say, hey, I'm looking for this kind of person. Where can I find them? And ask that question of everyone that you know. And you might find someone in your network is already going, hey, I'd love to create that with you. I'd love to go out there and turn your creativity into a mini agency. Who knows where that conversation goes? And it might be that after 2 or 3 experiments, you might go, right, we're all in, let's make this happen. Or it might take you a couple of years, but you got to put yourself out there and be proactive and have that at the top of your to-do list. Al, how do we find a you?
I just had one idea for now, which is do a mini experiment, invite 6 or 7 of your friends to come around and help you and ask the question, how might I grow my business? People that you might see I do some stuff with, and just have a creative session, bribe them with pizza or whatever it is you bribe them with to turn up, and see if they can help you think about your business, turn it into a question, come up with ideas, how much they help you, where their energy is. Do they come up with ideas how to sell it? Do they not? Running one event like that with a bunch of people might find you someone.
Okay. There's loads of things going through my mind. I can't really articulate any one. That's the whole, it comes back to the same point. There's so much going on. I can't pick one.
Yeah, Simon's doing the writing signal, get it out of your head onto paper. I always call it freezing your thinking.
Yeah.
When the thoughts are doing that in my head, I can't think straight. And I literally have to get it out so I can freeze it. And then I can look at it and decide what to do with all that jumbled mess. Yeah. But I would say get everything out of your head and freeze it, stick it in glass so that you can see it, and then you can build on it.
I've done so many systemized note-taking and soul searching and
whereabouts do you live, Mark? Huh? Whereabouts do you live?
London.
Okay, so whichever borough you're in, there'll be a bunch of networking groups online and offline. Go and hang out with other business owners, because you'll find a salesperson in there. You'll find someone that say, hey, I hired a freelance salesperson. They were amazing. I don't work with them now though, because I've done that. Those, just go have the conversations with people that you're already linked to somehow, either by geography or by LinkedIn or whatever. That would be my starting point, I think.
Okay. All right. Networking events.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Go make friends.
Local ones.
I think
it's
so.
Easier. Proximity helps. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. You guys
You're welcome. Good question.
Thanks, Mark. Can I just add as well, just if you're looking for salespeople, so there's a website called Bark, if you're willing to pay for it, where you can advertise what you're looking for. There's also websites called Sales Agents, and where I found most of my partnerships and who I didn't even think I would be partnering with was through networking events. So Surrey Chambers and all those. You do tons of one-to-ones with like-minded individuals who have completely different businesses. And you'd be surprised the types of partnerships and conversations that come out of the one-to-ones of someone that just intrigues you from meeting them at these networking events.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I can send you some details of where to find.
I'd appreciate that. Can I just?
I'm glad it was a
new thing. I love that. There's a link in the chat for you as well. I just did a quick search in case that helps, Mark.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Can I go to bed now?
Bye. It's we've won the party. Anita, have we won the party?
Yes. I say deliriously.
Yes, I think it's bedtime for everyone.
Shall we end the YouTube? Goodbye, YouTubers.
Goodbye, YouTubers. And I think to everyone, thank you for staying. Thank you for being part of it. It was one amazing session. You are wonderful. That's basically all I have to say. You are wonderful. Thank you for coming.